unable into pentakill!
Second, they'll find a second. Chippy is on an absolute tear right now. Welcome back to day number 2 of the LCO here. It's week number 6. I'm now your host, as we have decided that we can do it all. We're not only casters, we're analysts. We're pretty handsome too, aren't we, Max?
Very handsome. Hey guys.
Yeah.
That's turned translucent for this segment. She thought it would be a funny little skit, so
Ooh,
she'll be back soon.
Camouflage.
Max, can you tell me, what does this mean to you when you look at it?
Oh, what does it mean, Skimmy? It means so much. I can't even put it into words. I just
After
have
a
to
menu
put
log
it
meal
into-
time, do you feel inspired?
I have to put
to
it into
hydrate?
taste. I've never tried this flavor before. This
Okay.
is why I wanted to try it today.
Yep.
I'm normally an espresso type guy, but I did want to give this a go. You've shaken it very well.
I look, got to get it primed and ready to go.
Not quite a magic trick, but very well.
Not
taken.
quite a magic trick, but Max knows about the
yeah.
magic tricks.
I know all about magic tricks, actually. I was saying
Yeah.
I could do a good card one from time to time.
Okay. Okay, well, let's clarify a few things. We're before a little bit concerned about the playoffs
Yes.
brackets. Let's bring it up one more time to make sure that we actually know what math can be. And there is, in fact, no full seed tiebreaker, but there is still that tiebreaker between PGG and Mammoth, Max, that we're looking forward to.
Yes, okay, so sorry for confusing everybody before while I just tried to work out the arithmetic in my head before. Basically, Mammoth 1-1, they're currently on 9 points, right? They go 1-1 in their series, they tie with PGG, and because in their previous matchup they went 1-1, that means a tiebreaker could be played for 4th seed, right? That's the kind of ideal outcome for the Direwolves, right? They lock that 3rd seed. That being said, if Mammoth manage to take the 2-0, they will be the ones sliding into that top 3 position. So the Direwolves very much hoping that Mammoth are able to pull out a nice little 1-1 in their next series.
I was talking to production, mate.
I like that.
I was not listening. I didn't want to say anything.
Well, that's okay, mate, because obviously what we're looking forward to in this next series is the fact that Mammoth, you would hope, could get the clean 2-0, because Vertex will be looking at this one now and saying, we can play spoiler, but not necessarily do we need to actually do anything now. We are guaranteed to make it into playoffs. It doesn't really matter what the result is of this series, so Mammoth can certainly cause a few upsets.
Magic trick time. You ready? 3, 2, 1.
Whoa!
She's back.
Dude,
She was
someone
always
locked
here.
me out! I was knocking on the door for the past 3 minutes. I was locked out of the studio.
There was a point where you were taking just long enough that I was like, production, I swear she's locked out. Like, we need to go check the door. Like, I'm pretty sure.
And it was.
Hey, I got a chance to be you for a second. That's a lot of
did a good
You
pressure.
job.
probably, I was going to say, you probably
Yeah.
did a better
It's
job
actually a
than
lot of
me.
pressure, though. I had like Laura talking to me in my ear, and I was like, oh, wait, I had the power
This
to
is
cue
what
stuff.
it's like.
Yeah.
This is what it's like.
I'm glad we got it all sorted out. We know Skimmy's hosting ability is S tier. We've got the tiebreakers figured out. Everything that could still be possible with this Vertex up against the Mammoth series. Vertex, here we go. Tomasino, Goodo, Chirp, Dante, and Rosie.
And to me, this is the lineup that I actually wanted to see from Vertex when they announced that Goodo and Seaman were rejoining the roster, right? Chirp, to me, had been their standout performer for the majority of the split, so bringing in someone like Goodo alongside him who has that experience to accompany, you know, perhaps those rookie nerves, those rookie tendencies to overextend in lane can really help calm him down and take his individual gameplay to the next level.
And I think as well, off the top of my head, he's the highest damage percent in his team, if not all of mid laners as well, at like 32%. So this guy is
crazy.
doing a lot of work for his squad.
What?
So yeah, to see him taken out was like a bit of a question mark, and I don't think he was replaced by someone who just immediately performed and gave us a reason to keep Chirp out of the battlefield.
It's like our 16th variation of this Vertex roster, and what has only been 6 weeks, right? But be interesting to see if they can, finish on a high note.
Hopefully so, especially because, you know, now we do know that they have locked themselves in for playoffs, but standing in the way is Mammoth right now to end on that high note. They want it too, right? They want to push themselves up the ladder just a little bit more. So we got Tien Suli, Dajong, Cheon, and Yosan as well in this squad.
And we've heard a lot from Mammoth recently. We've seen a lot of fantastic performances, and I think we know that the ceiling for this team is extremely high. You know, a lot of the top 3 teams, you know, top 4 opponents that they'll be going up against in playoffs have said that they're essentially the dark horse of the playoffs for this split of the LCO. They can take a game from anyone. They're the hardest to predict, the hardest to expect things from. The last game that we saw from them as well, we saw, you know, a victory when Dajong goes crazy. We saw a victory where they were doing it with like a 300 ping Karthus, they were saying, running around just trying to survive on someone who's still got the win that way. We've seen Tian be the best top laner in the league, but also the worst top laner in the league in the same game because he gets bored. You know, you can't actually predict much from this squad. That's the crazy thing.
We're going to try our best, though, and hopefully predict that they will be showing up today. Like you guys have already said, if it is that 1-1, they'll be going in for tiebreakers. If they do get that 2-0 for themselves, then they will be sitting nice and pretty up there in the upper bracket, and that is what they want to do. They don't want to leave it down to chance. They don't want to leave it down to tiebreakers and have to fight it out any further, because on paper, I think a lot of people would say they have this advantage. Even when their top laners can be a bit questionable, Mammoth overall as a squad have really proven themselves as split max.
Yeah, absolutely. And to me, going back to that Zoe performance that Dajong had really shores up the weak link. And I hate that, we have been calling Dajong the weak link. I have myself have said it, but that's just because this roster is so stacked, right? It's not a discredit to Dajong. It's just saying that on this team that's, the caliber of players is so high, he's the one that sometimes gets targeted, but definitely showing in that Zoe performance that if he gets on his champions, he can carry just like the rest of them.
Yeah, he is a little bit newer as well when we really think about how long people have been playing in this pro scene, playing on teams as well. So he's even told me himself, he's like, not that he's the weakest link, but just he's newer players. So there's a lot more for him to learn, and that ceiling is a lot higher. He's just not reaching it at the moment. So Mammoth, they've got a lot to bring today. Vertex, though, we're going to talk to Chirp right now, see how he's feeling. Chirp, hey, how are you feeling for the series up against Mammoth, and now knowing that you guys are locked in for playoffs?
I'm feeling alright. I mean, I'm not that stressed because match doesn't really matter for us. So.
What sort of weight would you put behind this match then? What are you hoping to prove or show up against Mammoth?
I mean, just I guess show that we're a good team, that we can burst Mammoth.
That's fine.
Now, speaking individually with your cohesion, we saw last week Seaman come in, obviously Gudo playing game 1 at least today. Can you speak us through how long you've had to really pair with Gudo, how your synergy is feeling with him in that mid-jungle?
I haven't had much time with Gudo. Yeah.
Cool, perfect. And I guess, what's the team synergy like besides behind you and Seaman, potentially sharing time? Are you splitting scrims? How's that looking behind the scenes?
Yeah, just splitting scrims right now. They're just trying to see who fits the team better.
Cool.
And over this last 6 weeks, what would you say has been really key to help you improve? Is there anything specific when it comes to scrims, replays, someone else on the team that might have helped?
No, I don't think so. Just just the same stuff for all players, I guess. Making sure you're playing solo queue, practicing with a goal in mind, stuff like that.
Awesome. Well, Chirp, good luck today. Thank you so much for joining us.
All right, thank you very much.
See ya. A little repetition, I think, is what Chirp was going for there. Everyone's got to do it, and that's going to be the main key when it comes to just general improving.
Just a lot of competition is what I'm noticing across the board from a lot of these teams now, with multiple lanes having, like a direct partner and interchanging in terms of the games on stage, but in the scrims, and then hoping that, you've got the right clash of personalities that actually is a benefit as opposed to a burden.
And this is the best time to do it, right? You're switching mid-jungle, that pairing, they said, hasn't played that much together, right? So they are needing to get those reps in. Coming into a game where there's no pressure in terms of standings, even if you win, you're not going to change your positioning, takes a lot of that weight off, and they can really use this just to practice.
A team that does have a little bit of pressure for this series, though, is Mammoth. We'll see how Suli's feeling for it. Suli, hello. You guys are in a position that you could be in upper bracket, you could be doing tiebreakers for lower bracket. So how much pressure are you placing on this series against Vertex?
Yeah, I mean, this game is pretty huge. We just need a 2-0, there's nothing else to really say. So we're all coming in, even though Vertex aren't the best team, we're still going to put 100% effort, so yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to hear it.
Now, looking at Vertex, Gudo is someone who's obviously come into the league a bit more recently. Are you familiar with him? And if so, what's your sort of take on him as a player?
Nah, to be honest, I didn't really watch that season. I think I might have been in Europe or not playing. I don't know when he played. I think it was on order, right? I just know that he's good at Vi, apparently, so we're not going to give him Vi. That's it.
I like it. Sometimes, it's just the base level that you need. Don't give him Vi there. When would you say was the biggest turning point for Mammoth in this split? Or do you think it's just been this consistent linear upward trajectory? It hasn't been too much more to the progress?
Yeah, I think the biggest turnaround was when Yosan hit the flight and landed in Melbourne. So, ever since we got Yosan, we've been steadily improving. If we had versed the worst teams at the start of the split and the better teams at the end, I think we would have been first or second place in the leaderboard. So, we won every team except for Chief. So, I think we should have, and could have 2-0'd every other team. Yeah.
And speaking of that upwards trajectory, are you where you envision yourself to be at this point in the split?
Yeah, I mean, definitely, like, in terms of my performance, yes, and in terms of where the team's standing, like, yeah, like, third is perfect. We're going to verse the second place team if we 2-0 today, and that's, like, gives us the perfect chance to make the grand final from the upper bracket.
Nice. Well, Sully, good luck for today, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, guys. See ya.
See ya.
What a character.
Yeah, I feel like I wanted to
love
get
him.
more out
Yeah.
of Sully, but I'm also like, we don't have that much time, bro. Like, you gotta
You'd
go
love
play.
to just keep chatting, wouldn't you? Yeah. I just love the confidence about like, oh, so where did it get good? Oh, yeah, just when Yeston arrived. Like, we're just
Yeah, with that fly
The
touchdown,
fact
and
that
we
he
go to
said it
computer.
like a gamer as well, though.
Yeah.
It's like when they landed that combo, you know, like
Oh, the
Yeah, with
flight
that
into
flight
stream
landing.
combo.
straight into Melbourne.
Qantas hit that crit, right? And like your son landed. Like, it was crazy that we
over.
just started winning.
The plane absolutely just bodied the ground. And when you have it, we just turned it right around and we got third place if we get a 2-0 today.
Easy dubs for him, mate.
Oh, gamer talk
He's
IRL.
right. Yoson's a large part of their success, right? He's that extra, that added missing piece that it felt like they did originally have. He's just so hyper aggressive, and I think it fits so well with Chaeyoung and then with the rest of the team being very aggressive players too.
Yeah, 100%. For side select, it's going to be an absolute copy of what we saw in our first series as well, in our first best of two. The both teams picking up blue side for themselves. Not too unsurprising. We know now on this patch, this is our third week on it? Fourth week? Third week on 13.12?
Honestly, third.
Third, yeah, third week on it. So people have started figuring out a little bit more on which champs they want to prioritize, which ones are easy
Hey,
to
we already
take
know
out.
we're banned as well, don't we? Vi
Vi.
not going to be seen this series.
First phase, out of here.
Though it hasn't been seen in any series.
It was funny because his debut game back on Vi as well. He went like 0-8 or something, so it wasn't like some crazy 1v9 Vi performance.
He could have been working on it, though, in all those times, all those splits that he's had off. But Dare Fan Vote, we want to hear from you guys where you think this first game is going to be going. So use your channel points up there in the top right-hand corner, above Rusty, above that Dare fridge, and you guys can have your say.
Yes, I headbutted it. Up here. Bang.
Right there. And
Right
then
there, nice.
Right there.
Nice.
Right
Oh,
there.
I see what you did there.
Clever.
We did that. Okay.
Anyway, moving this along. Let's hear our predictions.
Get
What
me
everyone's
out.
gone for. Across the board, 2 O's for Mammoth. Rusty, are you going to be against the grain? No.
No, I have no reason to be against the grain in this series. It's very much the same as the first series, right? We have a clear favorite. We have a definitive favorite. I think this is an opportunity for Vertex to, like, when they have no pressure, I don't think they're going to troll with their draft. I think this is going to be the best we've ever seen Vertex. That's my prediction.
Yep.
Even though I've gone 2-0 Mammoth, I still think this is the best we will see of Vertex because they'll feel no pressure and they'll just play their best brand of League of Legends.
That's nice. Everyone likes playing a little bit of no pressure. You kind of get in this mindset where you're like, oh, maybe it's just a scrim. Maybe it's just another solo queue game for yourself. That's something that Chirp said he's been working on a lot. But something all these players have to come together and agree on is which champs are going to be picked up. And we'll see those 10 champs in Champ Select for game number 1.
That we will do. That is certainly how Champ Select works.
There will
Let's
be
figure
10.
it out.
There will be 10 champions.
There will be 10
There,
champions.
in fact, will be more than that if we include the bans.
There will be 10 bans.
We could be up to 20 champions.
That's
right
a lot
now
of champions, Rusty.
in draft phase.
And how many champions in a game? More than 20.
That's crazy. Do we consider the players champions too? Because there's champions everywhere.
They are
I think
heroes.
Sully's a champion,
They are legends.
and he loves the color purple, doesn't he?
He certainly does, mate.
Never seen someone love purple more than him. Max did ask for a purple pen though, so maybe he's got competition.
True. Very, very true. And that's the real hard-hitting facts that we need to know here
So anyway, that's
on
draft
the
up.
LCO. But look, so the Kaiser gets finally banned away. I felt like this would be a game where first pick priority would lean towards the Kaiser. Both Dante and Chaeyoung phenomenal at that champion, so makes a lot of sense. The Ivan as well as the Alistair LeBlanc denied on the blue side of all things. So obviously we saw how strong Sully was when they did play the Ivan, but it's going to be the first pick Rel.
Yeah, we've learned that, you know, Rel, while first pickable, can be counted in lane, can be dealt with and can be handled, but he's still just such a strong champion that it is worth picking. We saw Rel losing a lot, but it was mainly to Bliss, right? We haven't really seen the same success from any other team, and even then we've seen Bliss lose to that Rel now.
Yep.
So first pick here for Vertex, just a strong support champion for Rosie. The 5th, I might add. Not your regular run-of-the-mill Rosie. As Renekton, the easy lock-in here for Tien, who I think is just... Is it Vertex that don't play Cassante, or am I getting my wires crossed with champions? I don't think we've seen
Vertex.
a Cassante. We haven't seen a Cassante from Tomasino.
Have we not? I believe we have.
One. We've seen 2.
Yeah, against Bliss and Kanga
Yes.
from memory.
Okay, so he does play it. So this kind of, again, Renekton, one of those picks that's like, go ahead, give me the handshake matchup. If you don't, then I could have a winning lane.
Yep.
And so the Jack's actually going to be the response here.
Maybe this is a case of falling victim to Chippies and him playing the Jax and saying, all right, how about I just play it this time?
Chippy's corrupted his scrims for
I
the next
think it
week.
has, yeah. He tried to play what? It was the Renekton and the Poppy into it, so said, you know what, forget about it. I'm going to play the Jax in this series. And Tien, I'm going to entertain the aggression that you want to find in lane. As the Tristana comes out as the third option here from the side of Vertex. Be interesting to see if there is going to be a flex into the mid lane by Chirp there.
Yeah, that would be a curious one. I know Chirp is a mage player, AP mage player, not so much for that Tristana. Like when I think of Chirp, I think of Victor and Swain are my two champions that come to mind for him. So I am expecting that the Rel, because it couples nicely with the Tristana, will be a bot lane together. That should just be a pairing. And the Aphelios Nautilus for Mammoth should also just be a pairing, because I don't see Sully as a Nautilus player, though he does play the Ivan. So perhaps he does like a hyper support jungler and then a hyper carry jungler as his only two choices.
We're not completely sold on that Tristana being a bot laner just yet. So Mammoth actually going to deny away the Varus. Obviously, we've seen Varus in the mid lane as well, so it certainly can confuse you on another added layer of pressure. But then Darjong, having tripled his win rate on the Zoe last week, having a standout performance, especially in their win against Direwolves. The Zoe pocket ban has to be denied once again. And certainly leans towards making sure that mid lane is going to be a point of strength for Chirp to execute upon.
Yeah, mid lane certainly is going to be the point of focus. Where else do you go here? Is it an Ahri or Annie ban? Do you want to actually limit the champion pool of Darjong even further is my initial question here. I think Annie goes really nicely with everything else they have, but so does the Ahri, to be fair. So you can't really ban mid lane out. It may not even be worth throwing another ban there, unless you're looking to pick one of them up. But then again, Mammoth have that fourth pick choice.
You certainly do, so you're really having to pick your poison here. What do you feel more comfortable letting go through? So the Ahri is to be denied away. And we have certainly seen that Darjong is no stranger to the end. He has played the Swain as well, bear in mind, right? So if you are talking about some of the strengths that Chirp brings to the table, there is that consideration there.
There's already two melee champions, so Swain starts to get a lot of value with close range compositions, right, where you can hit that ult on many people, but I don't think there's enough draft shown to really consider locking that one in just yet. And I like the choice of Mammoth to go towards a jungler here for sure, to leave open the counter for that mid lane. If your most volatile or, you know, newest experience-wise player is Darjong, giving him more freedom to pick a counter in lane, giving him more confidence as well is going to be quite important. And to not let Chirp have that outright counter pick himself. Yeah, it could be a Trist mid, but let's make them show it. You know, we banned two ADCs to kind of incentivize the Trista bottom lane just a little bit more. Now you have to reveal where that flex is going, and we just get to counter.
That's exactly right. Here's the Maokai is going to come out from Gudo. You can deny away the Vi, but the Maokai being the next best option to give yourself a nice reliable engage window and a lot of shutdown potential at the same time. The Jinx comes out to play, so it is going to be the Tristana getting flexed into the mid lane.
Yeah.
2 days in a row now, both from Chiefs and now from Vertex. So what is the answer to this Tristana that Darjong wants to lean towards?
Well, he knows his matchup. He knows that it's going to be a pretty dangerous lane if he's not careful. I think Syndra has got some really nice tools for dealing with the Tristana in almost every single way. Right, Tristana wants to jump forwards. We've actually got the scat of the week. You push him back. Don't let those jumps happen. Your Q range is longer than a Tristana early game as well, who kind of has to play really aggressively, positionally, if she's looking to put down that DPS. So I think Syndra handles the 1v1 super well. Tristana is so good at taking turrets, though, so good at locking down those towers with just a single moment, a single wave to push on. So you always have to respect that one. And it could just be a case of both mid laners saying, we're landlocked, I'm going to get my Ludens and Sork shoes, and I'm just going to one-hit people on the map, because look at the comp of Vertex.
Yeah. Well, that's
very much killable carries.
I mean, they're very much killable carries, but you're also terrified at the same time if they can lock you down. They have a Tristana and Jinx with unlimited sieging potential, right? And also the concern around objectives, where if you make one small mistake, they can straight away turn towards, you know, a Dragon and Baron and rush that one down in the jiffy.
Yeah, very similar to the Chiefs style, right?
Exactly,
Like the punish that they have for getting any kind of advantage is super high. Instant Barons, instant Drakes, Kraken Slayers can be rushed on both of those carries. Towers will just drop like flies if they have any opportunities to hit those. And Dante on the Jinx, if he gets excited in those team fights, is obviously going to be quite a large factor to contend with for the side of Mammoth, though. You know, they've got the Renekton, they've got the Syndra, and they've got the Nautilus. They have so much single target lockdown that it's going to be really hard to get those fights without casualties on the Vertex side, at the very least without casualties. And then Aphelios, that scaling team fighting tool.
But it certainly was the downfall in that game last night, right? The fact that you have all this damage but didn't have a window in which you could execute that uptime. So based on the points you mentioned there from Mammoth for all that single target lockdown, if they can lay those quite nicely, if they can isolate out the key members they're after, then it really does deny all that potential that Vertex can certainly, you know, hope to achieve. So I think, you know, skill set aside, given that we have certainly said that Mammoth are the clear favourites in this one, being the one to take the 2-0, I think Vertex have put together themselves, yeah, a fairly nice composition.
Certainly true. And I mean, the one wild card for me is the Poppy jungle, right, in the Mammoth composition. So how does this fit in? I think it's really nice into Tristana, if that Trist is mid. And that was something that Mammoth very clearly read with their 4 or 5 bans of being AD carries. They wanted to say, like, get rid of self-sufficient ADs, long-range ADs, make things really difficult for Dante, and they kind of pressure him into that Jinx position.
Yep.
Kai'Sa was already banned after all as well. And then I think the Poppy can just come mid. So this is one of those, like, Syndra has good setup. Poppy can obviously use that setup really nicely if there's a wall nearby, right, to hit that charge. And they can make Chirp's life an absolute living hell, but at the same time, Rel can't jump if he's there. Tomasino can't jump if he's there. They've got really good dissuading tools to let the carries of Mammoth just continue to dish that out.
That they certainly do. So let's see how it all comes to a head as we load into the Rift for the second time tonight in another series. And the final series to wrap up the regular season here. Vertex up against Mammoth. Vertex, the weights are off. They know they are guaranteed as the final member joining the playoffs here. No longer do they need to be stressed about pulling up a miracle result. Certainly the pressure and the stakes are still at large here for Mammoth for knowing that they are still in the running to fight for that top 4 position. Let's see if anything happens at the level 1 mark here. Is Water going to go out? But do we have any sweepers to clear?
I mean, very exciting at the forefront of this is a potential playoffs preview. This could be a match that we see once again come playoffs time. Mammoth fighting to get into the top 4. Could be pushed down to the lower bracket if they lose and could be finding themselves up against that Vertex match. So be a lot of information perhaps gathered by both of these squads as they go toe-to-toe in this best of 2, especially for Vertex knowing full well that Mammoth are going to throw everything at them to 2-0. They need this 2-0 to get up in the standings and get that upper bracket. And so they will not relent. They will not slow down as Chirp jumps in at level 1. It's just going to be an exchange of bone plating, but slightly favorable for the Tristana. And you asked about those sweepers. There is a couple.
So yeah, so Vision will be cleared out as Sully is going to... Actually, no, it's not. It's just going to be staying on Vision as Sully as he goes for that first red buff. Not a care in the world despite having that sweeper in hand. I'm personally really interested for this top lane matchup because we have seen Tomasino play towards the split pushing style before, played the Camille into Shinky when they went up against Kanga, went the Hole Breaker, and did have himself a Flame Horizon. But if memory serves me correctly, it was when Meifeng went crazy with the Milio Kindred and just 1v9'd. But was a serious nuisance on the side lane pressure. Jax can certainly lend towards that as well, and Tien's going to be quite keen to have a bit of a bash in lane.
Yeah, you know that Tien's going to be trading health. Renekton naturally wants to trade health bars because he sustains so nicely using that Q. So he's going to push the wave, right? He's going to make things a little bit easier for farming for Tomasino here as well. And that Counter-Strike utility, as long as you hold that, you can never get stunned by the Renekton. So this is one of those matchups where Jack is pretty happy to handshake farm through it because you know you're just going to outscale anyway. You can team fight just as well, if not better. And you'll be able to persevere through that laning phase. But someone like Tien wants to really push that limit and make things hard for you. Speaking of making things hard for you down in this bottom lane, Rosie just lost majority of his health to Chaeyoung from simple auto attacks and a bit of harass from Yersun here and there. And that pressure is certainly mounting.
It certainly is. This will be another big test here for Rosie to see how he can perform. But Goodo's going to make sure that this is my second game and this is my big performance. Tien is the focus, Tien is the target, and Tien is the one we're hunting to try and take down, but he's just going to slice and dice for the turret. And has he lived? We'll never know because another gank's taking place in bot lane. Dante's through thereafter. and Sully will get it. And I tell you what, Tien, such a special player. He felt like he was so stuck, but he lives.
He takes extra efforts to be escorted by Dajong, but ultimately does survive. Sapling Toss was just used into the bush to secure this Scuttle Crab. So not going to find Tien recalling here either, just the flash expended from top. Meanwhile, bottom, the double kill confirmed from Sully. He will lock down both of those. And Mammoth start this game off very strong.
You cannot ask for much better than that. 2 ganks going on separate sides of the map, and you're winning on both. Simply beautiful start here for Mammoth. And a case could be made that this Poppy is going to become very strong very early on. As you can see, Chirp going to try and dish out some damage here for jumping forward aggressively with the protection of a rail behind.
Was essentially escorted just to clear that wave as aggressively as he would like, but did have the support of the team. We have a look at the replay here, exactly what happens. You would expect the hook hits, that much is obvious, but they look like they're actually taking the fight, right? They look like they're actually committing to this 2v2, and it makes you wonder if that was ever winning in the first place. And then Sully comes in, I will say, plays this one out brilliantly, hits the auto attack, flash cues to match the flash, knowing that the auto was not going to be lethal damage. Showing a little bit caught as we come back from the replay. Seems like he's going to be okay, and in the end, Mammoth return.
They've got to be so careful here because they've just face-checked blind into the river and said, deja vu, we got ganked once, we're going to get twice. It's the exact same play and repeat. Flashing forward his chain, letting a double grab at him. When's he going to activate? Because that's a massive rail stun, but the hook off cooldown drags back Dante. And they'll find themselves a third.
And Chayan with the confidence knows full well that between those 3 champions, the crowd control layering that they can combo is absolutely insane. Purple weapon, Gravitum Cannon finds his target. And Mammoth stay true to form. An early bot gank becomes a second, which becomes an objective. Things going very right, very early.
Same could be said for Tien as well. I'm getting flashbacks to Chippy's doing just this on the Renekton, just proxying between waves very early on.
Tomasino is currently being extremely
He's just been ignored.
3 games in a row he's been left on red. Oh, it hurts.
Such a bad feeling.
My top laner ganked for me and Tien ignored me again. He went through the turret. Why does he care for the turret more than me? He's going to be a Jax though, so eventually you got to pay attention.
Of course.
It's a little bit different this time around.
Certainly will have that glow up as the game goes on. But as it stands, this is the perfect early game for Mammoth here. 5 minutes in, they've managed to find a number of kills. The first dragon going their way as well. They want to work towards a very early soul point. And with the pressure that your jungle has already got, just how individually strong they are, you would certainly say commands the respect of the map and makes it a little bit difficult now for Guro to try and really contest.
The one major tragedy for Mammoth, hold that, stop fighting.
Is Tien going to get the kill? It's looking like the case, as he's not no flash to follow, so Tomasino should just be safe here. He's taking a massive amount of damage, however, but does have a TP to return back to lane.
Yeah, the teleport's going to save him from that situation. Mid lane, another jump forwards or another aggressive chirp. Every single time we look there, we see it. But Dajong, with that bone plating, seems to be pretty much okay most of the time up there. Tien certainly in the driver's seat in this one, though. The thing I was going to say for bottom is it's 3 assists for Chayan. Would have loved to have had one of those as a kill, but it's starting to catch up in that CS a little bit now. So it was like a 12 to 15 CS difference for Dante. Things were looking solid down there. Just one too many times the jungler found an angle, and we're back to even.
Well, it is. The Herald soon to spawn, and with Vision already getting looked at for that one. You can see that Sully's pathing towards it with camps to collect. Would make it so easy with the tempo working in their favor there. A difference maker certainly could be Chert and his interaction with Dajong to try and cut that point of the map off. Looking to see how aggressive both Yerson and Chayan play this one out as they've just hit level 6 as a result. Guro then not spotted just yet. Is going to see if they can scout an opportunity. Reveals himself for just a second, but look, they're going back to base. They're not interested, they are not invested. And are they looking to reset to actually go for this Herald?
They're very clearly not showing on the map right now. So it could be like you just highlighted, to give me a full map flip and reset for the Herald. They could deploy as a 5 towards this side of the map. For right now, however, Sully is hovering the top lane matchup, making sure that Tien has priority, which again, very clear sign. They push this in, they dip into the river, and they go for the play. Second control was still available for them to place in the pit if they would like, but I don't think they suspect Tomasino's already placed the ward there. Doubt it's going to be contested. It looks like that's going to just remain the case. Meanwhile, Vertex, you can see where they're moving. Just letting Dante farm. They're putting a 3-man effort down here, though, to ensure that farm happens. And my question is, if Mammoth show under this turret, do they dive? Because I think this is known by Mammoth at least somewhat. And they are looking to commit.
Chen only has cleanse, so bear that in mind. And Grass goes out, he gets knocked up, he's rooted, he's in a world of trouble right now, but he's going to try and fight his way out of a dangerous situation. He nearly found second, as Rosie has lived by just a margin there. Yosan, it's a Nautilus. The Nautilus certainly does a lot of damage, and is the one to confirm a double kill.
The jump in mid lane still is here to counter, though, so you have to be very careful if you're Chirp. No stun yet.
Oh, he's looked for it, but not able to find it when a one-man knocked up nice and easily, and unleashing the power. And I say it again, I mean, Mammoth are just winning. Can Tomasino be the difference making out for Vertex? Stunned up and dead. And in all 3 lanes, they've essentially found themselves an ace.
The simultaneous capitulation here of Vertex. Mammoth just win their 1v1s. They get a jungle gank. They win the 2v3 bot lane essentially as well. I mean, you can't ask for much more if you're Mammoth here. A Rift Herald to be summoned is almost an afterthought for how much they just won those trades. And, you know, Vertex, I respect the attempt at the bot dive. I think in theory that can work. They just didn't have the ability to lock down, it felt like. Cheon close enough to the tower that he was just able to kite his way out. Gudo uses the ultimate out in vision, so they get more information, they get more knowledge. Yersan is in auto attack range during all of this as well, and Gudo just dies. I think originally they were trying to get Rosie to have the turret aggro because Maokai's going to put more DPS down. It seems like Maokai got it first, which to me is a big mistake. And then the Jinx is tanking because he is dealing damage closest to the turret afterwards and just goes down. Chirp decides in all of that wisdom that without having seen the enemy jungler and knowing that a Herald's just been taken, that he's going to jump in. Top lane doing the exact same thing, but perhaps with the knowledge that now a jungler is shown in mid, goes for this 1v1. And Tan quite simply stands and outplays him.
I'll tell you what, you really cannot ask for much better of the start here for Mammoth. Really have been on their A-game these first 10 minutes. It's denied a 3-man dive, so you're not trading anything for the Herald they've managed to find. It's pretty sublime, and they managed to find themselves a very early first
teleport.
dragon.
I think they turn onto the teleport here if you're Vertex. You really want to make sure you don't get flanked.
There is dragon number 2 now. And there is the TP to make sure that Tien loses nothing in the top lane. And Yosung once again undeterred will hit a 2-man depth charge. That's going to be Magna Storm to respond, and that is going to be Jinx finding the kill that they need. Ultimate in your face. Zap to maybe get 2, but taken by Gudo. And now finally, proof and product in the bot lane.
It's so much better from Vertex that time around. They actually get the fights they're after. Yes, Summoner Spell is a little bit missing in this time around, right? The flash twisted advance. Way better from Gudo. Suli now trying to defend this one.
Steadfast presence to try and knock them up. Actually flashing and knocking Rosie into the wall, so he's going to deny.
Dante tanking.
And it is going to be Dante dying as well.
Suli's winning. Suli's winning.
You madman. Is he going to 1v3 under this tower? Twisted advance is going to get it. And Tomasino is also going to win out as well with only 50 health to his name. This game is not passive by any stretch of the imagination. More kills than there are minutes. Yosun's already respawned. You're not blast coning away. You are dead. And this game, I tell you what, Rusty, that's a bit of a treat.
Yeah, they get the trade back here at the very least from Mammoth. Tomasino, I do not know how he managed to find a solo kill on a Darjung who dies with flash up. So that is certainly something we'll have to look back at and see how that played out. The fight was way better bot lane from Vertex, and again, they see their angle like, we just continue this dive. Like, I can't believe Suli's here trying to 1v3 us, and then would you believe it? The tower, the amount of damage the tower did in that little skirmish.
MVP.
Truly the MVP. We had a look at this top lane skirmish. Tomasino just jumps in. Darjung, of course, playing very aggressively now, misses the stun and the Q, which seems like it is the difference in health overall. Gets the cooldowns back up. Is that really all it is?
I guess we're just not flashing.
Darjung just went, today, we're not flashing. Today? And that's Darjung already dead.
and if you missed it the first time, there it is the second time.
That was the result.
Very sad.
That's a shame.
Midway though, Tien's going to return back to his native lane and say, you killed my mid laner. I'm my way with things up here.
Hey,
So
what
fight
about
me again.
Counter-Strike used here and already preempting with the ultimate. Reinforcements are
Certainly is.
here.
Dominus is active. The rest of the team is here. Warbang up against that as Sully finds himself kill number 5. This Poppy is no longer a tank, nor are they a bruiser. They're a carry.
Insane use of the blast code mechanics there, though, with the Chemtech Rift. The amount of distance they can cover is absolutely bonkers. Pushing bottom lane is going to be the transaction here from the side of Vertex. They truly are putting all of their eggs into the Dante basket. Looking for the Demolish procs in mid lane, etc., but not enough as... Ooh.
There's a word on which I was wondering if he had flashed that wall.
I think he saw the reinforcements, or he was a little bit afraid. There was 3 people there. And that's the first turret. So Mammoth did not commit themselves to breaking the turret in top lane, knowing what Vertex were doing. They instead just let it go. And Vertex get the first turret while reinforcing mid in this play. So that's a nice little move against the grain, it feels like, here from them. And I mean, look at the total gold. Dante, well and truly ahead of the pack here.
He certainly is. He's managed to get a bit of an XP lead over Chan at the same time as well, being left to his lonesome for such a elongated amount of time. But is the only hope for Vertex right now in this game as we get closer to the 15-minute mark. Jinx and a Dream.
Sully with Hex Flash, so could always get over the wall. Find Chirp.
That's a nice little interaction as Chirp has stunned himself mid-air. A buster shot that will afford him no safety.
Oh, he's alive.
But he is still living. You are absolutely right. Moonlight Vigil, 4 members say hello to Jax. A rocket from downtown to really just tickle them. And Sully to finish the deal. 2 kills, as easy as you like it. And a case of now protecting Dajong as he's the next focus in mid lane.
That was an insane jump buffer from Chirp, and if that was over the wall to safety, that would have been heroic. But unfortunately, I think he just reacted, used the jump, and it was into the bush where his mouse already was, so he just reflexed the W key, and it happened to be straight into the waiting arms of a crocodile. So that could not have gone worse for him. Very unlucky, but still, you know, had the reaction time to get that jump buffer off. Vertex pushing mid lane, couldn't quite get the turret as a trade. Things still going so well here for Mammoth, all things considered.
A nice little consolation prize to them, able to pick up the second Herald for themselves. Let's watch it back one more time, because yeah.
I actually think he was already jumping on the TN, from what I could tell there, right?
Looks preemptive, doesn't it?
Yeah, had no vision of Sully, and I think was actually just looking at TN walk into the bush and said, this is free. And then says, I am so sorry to Tomasino, who has been left to the wolves and thought maybe he could get away, but could not escape the Poppy. Chased him down.
Well, that will be in just a second there. Turret number 3 for them. All the outers now removed here from the side of Mammoth. And Chirp, given a moment to strike, is going to rapid fire and destroy another turret in response on the other end of things as we jump into a pause here. Mammoth were looking at the Dragon at that moment. Already got 2 to the name. This would be a very early soul point for them to take. But a pause to delay us from that potential.
Yeah, hard not to notice what the potential issue was there, Skimmy. Hopefully we get that one resolved as soon as possible, because a very tragic situation to return from that pause into if Vertex are not careful. The freeze frame shows a pretty dangerous situation in mid lane. But I think the map state overall, while Vertex are getting those trades, and this is something that we were talking about earlier in the week as well, right? Like, a lot of teams that are now eliminated from the LCO aren't doing what Vertex are doing, which is trading situations where you don't want to take the fight, you take the gold somewhere else on the map. They are finding money, right? They're putting money into the hands of Dante, where if you look at Voice and Echo, they were left to their own devices to these 1v3s. They were being dove. They weren't being set up to succeed. And so it's one of those situations where you're seeing so much more from Vertex, and that gives them potential win cons, right? That could give you a 2-item Jinx that could win a team fight. That a Tristana that's farming could break turrets if the Jinx is able to get trades because she has more items. There's just a little bit more to look forward to. But I still think we are in this situation where Mammoth are truly in the driver's seat, still truly in command of the map overall presently. And that's a dangerous place to be against Mammoth, letting them have this space. Yersun finds those Hex Flash angles. You know, they certainly can just flick the switch and the fight is on.
Certainly can, and they've proven that on multiple occasions, right? MVP performance from them both to showcase just how switched on they can be, and both in this game, very strong. You'd argue in some case that Yersun's even stronger than Chan, given he's managed to find all those extra kills as the Alistair, funnily enough. But hopefully not too long of a pause, just one of the players has disconnected, so Should be a case of getting them back in and getting this game back on track. But ultimately, it does seem like a case where, yes, we can celebrate just how strong those early moments of the game have been in favor of Mammoth. But yeah, Vertex aren't desperately looking down a barrel of like a 5 to a 10k gold deficit, right? Like we've seen in similar situations.
Yeah, not looking completely out of the game. It is not looking dire. It is not devastating. It is just going against them right now. As I do suspect we'll be getting back into this one pretty shortly. Good to see the high spirits here from both of the teams as well. Of course, focused faces from a lot of Mammoth looking for those 2-0s, but smiles from Darjung as they're ready to go. Ready to find their next steps in this one. I feel like, you know, this is also that downtime where there's no objectives that are majorly available on the map presently. We are just going to have, you know, the kill or pick oriented next couple of minutes, and both comps are quite good at it.
Yeah.
When you think about it, very good at finding and generating those picks.
Been pretty devastating though, watching the interaction between the Nautilus and the Poppy going at the very same time. And just locking key members down. Back into the game. Thank you for bearing with us as we continue game 1 in this series. And Fully does kill confirm what we thought was a done deal. Dragon number 3 looking at a very early 21-minute soul. Something that we don't see too common these days.
And I will also say Gudo, we haven't highlighted this too much at the moment, hasn't opted towards the most standard of Malkite builds as like a solo AP in the team. He's gone straight towards the supportive tank build with a phase brush, not even a first strike. We're fighting.
Fight is on, and Thomasino was the one lagging behind. Moonlight Vigil went out initially to try and lock them down with the Graviton, but they did not connect, and Dante is the clear focus. He's the carry. He is your hope. And he is the one running as fast as he can from the very scary crocodile that can just jump over terrain.
The Q
that can just hit the Call of the Meek.
Oh, he's out of range.
Miss.
But there's minions. He'll die to the minions if he chases through. He's got the traps down, but he missed the traps.
Oh, the observers, as invested as we were to see the outcome of that one, as another kill takes place top lane. Same story though, isn't it? Mammoth just winning on all fronts.
So sad those traps missed. Still just thinking about the traps. Or a Teemo off the wall that so he was able to just walk around them. Of course, had the minions there to corral and escort, and that's one of those team fights that just goes the way of Mammoth pretty handedly. A good flank from TN. Good little setup on the skirmish. Took a while to find those kills, but they get what they're after now. We'll say Vertex summon the Herald. So again, what is the outcome of this? Pretty bad for Vertex, but they get the turret. Flash forwards, Nautilus ultimate comes down. TN has basically said best of luck to Dante. And then Sully said it's all you, bro. And chases down the rest of the pack. And this was over almost before it began, right? The second the fight actually kicked off from Mammoth proper, it was done for. As we have to watch this again, don't we? Dante had a shot, maybe. Gordrinker just misses. Okay. Ah, it's the sad traps. They're so sad. They're so sad. Chirp's dead.
Sad.
Chirp's dead. Sad.
Really is the word, isn't it? Emote reacts only. But to our point, going from that break, or rather that pause, was the fact that despite how strong and in control Mammoth feel, they're only up by 3k. Right? So it's not as if this is a foregone conclusion, it's a done deal by any stretch of the imagination. Vertex are able to trade, even if it doesn't look necessarily like it's always happening. They're finding gold.
Mind you, while true and has been good from Vertex in that respect so far, they're running out of things to trade with.
Yeah.
Right, all the outer turrets are gone. Really good for them because it opens the map up a little bit more, right? Maybe gives them more safe avenues for farming. They're going to continue to have to try and get money into the hands of Dante at all costs. He's 2 and 5, but he's got those 2 items done working on the 3rd. And he's not tragically far behind. But they're not going to be able to get those shutdowns on towers if Mammoth don't allow it to happen, right? So we're at this point in the game where a minute 56 till a full soul from Mammoth, a 4-0 sweep of the Drakes is theirs for the taking. Hex flashes.
Rosie's gone into unknown territory, hits a Magnet Storm, but is dead before the fight. Really has the fair shot to shine here for Vertex. Chirp TP's in, instant rocket jump away. And that's the Baron on spawn that Mammoth are beelining towards.
Yeah, it was just Chirp that teleported in here. Tomasino's actually already in the area. He is teleporting to bottom. And so they simply will not be contesting this Baron buff. They are looking to push mid, and they are looking to push bottom. And again, they have made the conscious effort to trade objectives where possible. The towers have shut down bounties on them. So the effective value of Baron, right, 300 per champion. Solid spiking goal goes the way of Mammoth for sure, and the upside of a lot more towers to be taken. But a turret and a shutdown bounty for everybody on the side of Vertex with a potential second when they were looking at him if they couldn't convert it. You can see what they're thinking.
Absolutely. It's always the case of, well, there's no chance, there's no point us even looking at the Baron. Let's take what we can get and just open up more and more space for this Jax to get given a chance to try and execute upon. Gone back to base, picked himself up a Black Cleaver now. And you would imagine it's probably Azonia's coming after that if they certainly do want to be a menace on the flank.
Still just feels a little bit odd to me, right? Like, Rosie face checking there, Gudo can throw a sapling. Face check not necessary if they just, you know, slow down a little bit more, actually play the game out in a slower manner. But Gudo hasn't been seemingly too aligned with his team so far in this game. Again, I'm not fully sold on the phase rush. Maokai builders. You know, it's just going to confirm there is a 10 in the bush. Drake in 8 seconds. Now there's a Baron buff. I'm not sure how you get there. And again, I'm not sure they want to be there.
No.
Do they care about a Chemtech Soul Skimmy? Does anyone?
Nah. If it's not the Jax pushing it, certainly is Tristana. But to your point again, they are slowly running out of opportunities to do just that because they might just lose the game as a result. The hook connects by some miracle. The Nature's Grasp locks them all down, but it locks them down at the same time. They're just dead as a result. The Magnet Storm, once again, whilst huge in its effect, there's no one to do damage whilst they're stunned in place. And Chirp can return to base to realize that it is just gone.
Yeah, Chirp's got to deal with 5 people in 20 seconds without a single ally, and I don't think he has a chance. He needs to hit a buster shot. And it needs to be into the fountain. The Hex Flash from the Nautilus. Try as they might, I don't think he can stop Mammoth.
Well, I'll tell you what, Mammoth were not wasting time in this game. They've done it in 22 minutes, and they're already thinking about game number 2.
Yeah, they simply were not messing about, right? Started super early into the game. It was a double kill in bottom lane. Sully just gets it done. They lock down those kills. They execute really nicely. And for me, there was that singular point in this game where it was a 2v3 dive in bot lane. Vertex get traded out. They lose the 2v3. They get killed in mid from a gank. And they lose the 1v1 in top lane, all within 30 seconds. And this game that was like 2k gold difference was like, well, suddenly everyone's just fed.
Yeah, all 3 lanes at once just falling over, and then when Sully is able to 1v3 underneath the turret as well, I'm thinking, okay, guys, what is going on now?
I did think the Vertex had more map control than they should have had, if that makes sense. Even though they weren't really in control of Dragons at all, they weren't really there for Heralds or for Barons, they didn't have that sort of map control, but they were still able to take turrets, they were still able to have certain things happen for themselves on the map. So I think that that's something quite impressive Vertex were able to do for themselves, considering how early and aggressive Mammoth were with attacking both side lanes at the exact same time and, you know, just evading the deaths on the top and getting a double on the bottom.
It felt like everywhere that Vertex went, it got answered, and then every time that Mammoth were making a play, it was finding success, right? To me, the bot lane was the biggest catalyst at the start of this game. Sully acknowledging this is a very volatile bot lane 2v2, right? The Realms and Nautilus matchup both going to be fishing for engages, and Sully, plain and simple, just getting there more often than Gudo. And this is the dive we were talking about here. This is where it really starts going bad for the side of Vertex here. You can see how long Cheon lives because they mess up the aggro, then Dante just flashes and randomly dies at the end of it. And meanwhile, topside, we talk about this Renekton versus Jax matchup being favored for the Jax. TN actually playing it and exploiting the windows where you can win, getting that early game advantage and translating that to the pressure that he's able to provide in the top side. So Sully, to me, he's been playing a lot of tanks recently, and he's been making them look like a carry in the way that he plays them.
Which is funny for Sully, isn't it? Given the start of the season.
Yeah, I was about to say, he's like, I'm the carry. Like, they know this coming on this team. Like, that's the style, and that's the way that I'm always going to play. And it's like, okay, I guess technically you are doing what you said. It's just on champions. A lot of us would not expected for you to fit that description.
I mean, I think I even mentioned it myself during the game, right? He's no longer just that tank bruiser. He is just making Poppy look like a carry, which is crazy. So it doesn't matter what the champion is. He can say, it's meta for a reason. Wukong, it probably makes Sichuan look like a carry next game at this rate, right? So, like,
yeah,
really, it's been a treat. And yeah, just a comprehensive victory from them. I think Dajun was just along for the ride a lot of the time, right? It was just, you know, clearing waves and and responding. The big thing that stood out to me was the build from Dante, actually ignoring any kind of mythic item, actually rushed a Phantom Dancer second. Just wanted a lot of movement speed and tank shred is sort of what I got from that, right, with the Lord Dominic's coming out third.
And the thing to me that really is interesting as well, right? Because you do have the Tristana as a double AD carry, so you don't necessarily need to be full DPS. I think something like a Gale Force would have been invaluable against the likes of a Nautilus, against the likes of a Syndra, right? But instead opting, like you said, for that full DPS route. I think, you know, double AD carries is such a hard comp to make work, right? Because it does require you to take teamfights in a very organized fashion. And when you are getting split up, like we saw multiple times, Dante spending 90% of the fight running away from a Renekton, just trying to survive that 1v1, you're not able to consistently hit targets, and then your whole composition just falls apart.
Do you think we would have seen a different ending to this game if we had had Vertex come together as a 5 a lot earlier and tried to take things that way, rather than trying to be like, okay, let's take what we can get, small things here and there on the map, because our bot lane had a bit of a rough start?
I'm not sure it was the 5 grouping thing. I think it was just execution on the 3, right? Like Budo working with Rosie. Like if they do that better, then this is a different game.
Right.
Because what happens is, like, ultimately is they lost where they were trying to win while losing where they were expected to lose at the same time. So like if that went better, Dante's a win con. This is a very different game potentially, but you know that's just not the way it goes. And then suddenly they've got Rosie face checking bushes to compensate for the lack of information they have, and it all just starts to slip away.
It's going to be a side top as well for game number 2. So do you think they're going to be able to get away with a double ADC draft that they did here, or you're like different side, go for something different because it also didn't work here when you're on a side that should have been able to have the advantage for it?
Yeah, I'm not sold on the whole double AD carry pick. I think Chirp plays a lot better when he's on a mage. He's able to provide, you know, Tristana, I think he played it a lot of times. He just jumped in randomly and died. There was that one play in mid lane where he jumps. The second he jumps, Poppy reveals and he's dead, and then same in the top side where he just jumped into a Renekton and went down. So to me, not really Chirp's champion. I'd love to see him on something like a Victor if you are opting for that front-to-back style. Allow Dante to be more of that AD carry DPS, and then you can come in and put up those 32, 34% damage numbers that we know he's capable of doing.
I agree.
Perfect. Anything on the side of Mammoth then that you think you would like to see differently, or would you like to see them push the envelope a little bit more? Because it's so tough, right? Because they're in this position that a 2-0 would put them in the upper bracket, so it's just like, how far do you really push this envelope? But at the same time, you're in a matchup that you should be favored for, so you can get away with that?
I don't think you do that at all. I think you're absolutely locked in on this game, right? And they said it in the pre-game interview. Sure, they are by far the favorite, and we saw that in this game. They completely ran over them. With that being said, I think sticking to what works for them, and this formula seems to work great, right? You have this bot lane 2v2 that can skirmish. You have a jungler who's more facilitative in nature, and then Dajong, like often along for the ride, but just rocks up on that Syndra, is reliable in doing what he does, and then TN obviously smashing the top lane. So formula works. Stick to it for one more game and secure yourself that top bracket.
Yeah, absolutely.
It makes sense. Was there anything else that you guys wanted to comment on the way that Mammoth were able to utilize this map? Because that's something that can be taken away very quickly, and we saw it every now and then, maybe glimpses of just something small happening. Did you still like how they were working together though as a team? Particularly
Jungle support, I liked what I was seeing from them, right? So the cool thing about the Mammoth composition is they were double Hex Flash users as well. So like the hyper-aggressive Poppy, Nautilus looking for these angles everywhere also got to be creative in the angles that they were looking for. I think when Yersan gets to be creative, he gets to find things that no one's prepared for. And Sully, I think, just proved that in this game, that he is creative and he will find angles that no one's prepared for. So that was like a very little detail that I thought adds a lot of flavor to their composition. And like that extra flavor could be what upsets the balance when Mammoth play against these better teams in the standings.
It was almost like they were like terrified of being next to a wall because of the Poppy, but then terrified of being in the open because of the Nautilus, and then just terrified in general.
And then just afraid.
And then
just like, what do we actually do?
Oh, we lose.
In the open, there's an Aphelios? Like, what do we do?
Oh, I've been stunned. Oh, okay, cool.
I did also get word that there won't be any subs for Vertex, so even though they have that on the roster, they have the potential to sub in and out. They're not going to pull a Chiefs. They're not going to be changing up any junglers, any mid laners for themselves. They are just going to run it back with the same 5 players that we saw there in game number 1. And while we're waiting for game number 2, let's have a look at some from the fans. We asked you guys what your favorite removed item from League is. You can answer that using hashtag LCO. Like these people. Whiskey said Hextech GLP Twin Shadows combo.
And we were talking about this is when Nico came back into the meta here, we were talking about, okay, when was the last time we saw Nico played? It was in top lane. It was with these 2 items in particular. And yeah, just absolute nightmare fuel.
Super important lore, though, is that that's not the name of either of these items. Like, that's their official names. That's not their names. It is the
Super
Super Soaker and the Spooky Ghosts.
Yep.
That's it. That's what they did. They were goated.
Plus
Great
Glacial,
items.
just the worst experience ever
Yeah.
to play against. And that's why they got removed, is right? Because you
Yeah.
just pop Twin Shadows. It finds people who are flanking, and then you just run them down on like Veigar. I know was a pretty prolific user of it, and it's just
Imagine you're
anti-fun.
diving somewhere, you just send out the scouting party. You're like, is this a good dive?
Yeah, you got the best flank ever, and then, oh wait, this item just randomly found me out.
Yeah.
So.
Toxic.
Be the best player in that item, just absolutely undoes all of it. Deadly G said Death Fire Grasp and Atma's Impaler.
Good man, another
Mr.
Atlas
Believer.
enjoyer. Big fan. And I will say I'm not a fan of the old Deathfire Grasp, and I'm glad it was removed.
Yeah, DFG a bit too broken.
Game
did it-
breaking. So it was essentially like a full damage item that did burst on application, but it would travel faster than
This
the
feels disgusting.
items. Oh, sorry, the abilities that you would throw. So like Ari would throw her charm out, but also could throw the Deathfire Grasp out. Malphite could ult, but while he was ulting, he could Deathfire Grasp and do like an extra 600 damage before his ult hit. So imagine AP Malphite, but you always die.
Can you imagine LeBlanc with Static Shiv and that?
Oh yeah.
Oh.
I think I'd quit.
I
a
would not
Gunblade
want
in
to play.
there as well.
And a Gunblade, yeah.
The old Gunblade active. That you,
Yeah. Love that one.
That one
Yep.
was good.
Theory crafting, too many disgusting things here.
This is an old school one. It's like Season 2, Season 3 as well.
The Ancient
Super
Queen line of support items, it's probably not nostalgia, but I miss them for some reason. That's
What
fair.
did they do?
That was the tank one?
I think it was the off-tank one.
Yeah,
Was-
rings a bell.
It was like the Targon's Brace stuff. was the
Yeah, I'm
tank
pretty
ones,
sure,
right?
yeah. And it's just like, yeah, once again, it's like passive gold generation.
Yeah, this was the passive goal. You didn't
Yeah.
actually have to do anything.
It's just,
I
that was
think.
just their old mantra. It was just, yeah, you just get free gold as a support. As opposed to actually interact and like last click the minions, which you have to do now.
You actually had to be present in lane.
You've
and
actually
you
got to
had
rock up and
actually,
be like, hey, that cannon
counter.
minion, it's mine, it's mine. And they're like,
Hit
Yeah.
champions for gold.
you've actually got to play the lane. You've got to be interactive.
It's the worst. I liked when I could have just sat in the
Just AFK
bush.
lane?
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
I guess that's why I pick you. No, I'm joking. I don't pick you, me. I was gonna say.
You pick a
Could.
moo.
Yeah, that's-
You could pick
so
Nidalee,
far the other
and you can
way.
land all your spears.
yeah, let me just do that one, Skimmy. Let me just land all my spears. We don't miss those.
100% hit rate so far.
Oh,
You.
hit me every single time.
That's true.
That's how I said it. You forgot.
The backstory was we played in the community night.
Yep.
And I got Nidalee in ARAM, and Skimmy
What was
just
I was Yone, and I just kept dashing into you. And you
he
just,
literally
on
he
purpose?
no.
Nah.
Not
He just-
originally.
Oh,
Not
okay.
originally. He just ended up collecting all my spears. It was like
How nice of you.
freaking.
And then,
Pokemon out here.
then you're like, you make me feel so good at this game. And I was like, oh, wait, okay, I need to be way more
Yeah,
conscious
we're
than
gonna
what I'm
try
doing.
hard now.
I'm going to try now.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it was good though. It did boost up the ego a little bit. We got another one here. Spooky Ghost, especially Frost Queen's Claim Edition.
Is this just a jungle item that had the active on it that did the same thing as Spooky Ghost? Because originally it wasn't Spooky Ghost, it was this, I believe.
This was a support item, I'm pretty
Oh,
sure.
it was a
right?
support one.
Yeah.
When
It's
was
like an
this?
item where like I remember it, but I don't remember it well enough to
Yeah.
like confidently say this is exactly what it did.
Yeah, it's in the timeline, but not sure when.
Mm.
Still a valid choice because it's Spooky Ghosts. And
Yep.
it was aptly called Spooky Ghost this time. That we're getting there.
The
Very
real
nice.
name.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
The authentic name.
A little bit of a fuzzy memory about those ones, but we love all of your submissions. Don't forget to keep on tweeting at us what your favorite removed item from League of Legends is using hashtag LCO. You can do that right now because we're heading to a break. We're going to have some spare time where you can tweet, and when we come back, it's game number 2, Vertex versus Mammoth.
Way better from Kudo. Stooley now trying to defend this one.
Steadfast presence to try and knock them up. Actually flashing and knocking Rosie into the wall, so he's going to deny.
Dante tanking.
And it is going to be Dante dying as well.
Stooley's
Stooley.
winning. Stooley's winning.
You madman! Is he going to 1v
Can
front
Kudo
of this
kill him?
tower? Twisted advance is get
Whatever I want, I can have it. I'm exceptional, way above average. Obstacles don't stand a chance. You against me, better make up the plan. It doesn't matter what nobody tells you. Believe in yourself, power comes from within. I know they counted you out and they left you for dead. It don't matter, you still gonna win. It doesn't matter when nobody tells you. Believe in yourself, power comes from within. If they counted you out, it doesn't matter, you're still gonna win. Playtime is over, now finish them. 100%, that's the minimum. I don't listen to them, they some liars. Before you beat the odds, you gotta be put through the fire. Yeah, so I take on every challenge. Life is full of ups need is one shot like a shooting star. Running out of time, gotta take a stand. I listened to you long enough, now here I'm my demand. Failure's not an option. Throw away your red lights, cause I'm not stopping. Yeah, it doesn't matter what nobody tells you. Believe in yourself, power comes from within. I know they counted you out and they left you for dead. It don't matter, you still gonna win. It doesn't matter when nobody tells you. Believe in yourself, power comes from within. If they counted you out, it doesn't matter, you're still gonna win. Yeah, it's checkmate if we playing chess. If you got a problem, better say it with your chest. I'm the #1 contender, ain't no #2. Cause even if I fall back, I'm still ahead of you. Yeah, cause we the winners, now we can't lose. Ain't no mission impossible, now we can't lose. Even though we outside, still get it in. You want the crown, get in line, there's too many men. Stop me, can't nobody stop me. Lately I've been on my own, can't nobody stop me. All this tough talking for the birds, now I'm furious. This will never end, so I'll never need a period. Yeah, so we gotta fly high. If you ever had a dream, put your hands in the sky. Yeah, cause we never going down. When it's all said and done, we gon' still be around. Yeah, it doesn't matter what nobody tells you. Believe in yourself, power comes from within. I know they counted you out and they left you for dead. It don't matter, you still gonna win. It doesn't matter when nobody tells you. Believe in yourself, power comes from within. If they counted you out, it doesn't matter, you're still gonna win. It doesn't matter when nobody tells you. Believe in yourself, power comes from within. I know they
He hooks himself back in. They want it. Kingsley's not able. And that pentakill. Second, they'll find a second. Chippy is on an absolute tear right now.
Vertex versus Mammoth. This best of 2 is going to be closing out very soon. Game #2 on our screens because it's a bit of a bittersweet moment, you know. We're going to be moving into playoffs. That's great. We're going to know where all the standings are going to be after this one. But it's our last game.
We might not know where the standings are as well.
Yeah, no, you're right. There could be
You never know.
more tiebreakers than just the Chiefs versus Bliss for first, second. You're all right. All
Are you
depending
saying
on-
you want a longer regular split?
Yes.
How long is too long?
Not long enough.
If it's more than a double round robin, I think it starts to get a bit rough.
And here we go for Chiefs versus Bliss, round number
For the
19.
6th time in a row.
Let's see if they win on this patch.
No, it is just, it's just one of those things. You know, it's always going to come to an end, but it doesn't make it any less sad. But we shouldn't be too sad just yet because you can still have another say in who's going to take out game '2. Dare fan vote in the top right-hand corner above that Dare fridge over there. Use your channel points, have your say. Do you think
Above the
Mammoth are going
fridge.
to 2-0 it? Or, I'm going to finish this. Are they going to 2-0 it or are they going to go 1-1? When I was watching, I was like, we always say above the
It's over
fridge,
there
right?
somewhere, isn't it?
Technically,
It's
it's
like
not
here.
above the fridge. It is adjacent. It is practically on par with where that Dare fridge is because it is such a big block.
You think
Oh,
production
really?
is smurfing? Then
Yeah.
that was all pre-planned, deliberately making that line
The Dare fan vote right next to the Dare fridge.
That's good.
Crazy, yeah.
That's good.
I don't know if they did do it, but this is the first time we've
I'm
ever
going to say
used
they
it.
did do it. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. Our production does smurf.
They do smurf. They do be smurfing. That is right. Do you think Mammoth are going to be smurfing in this
Yeah.
game? They got blue side for themselves.
Yeah.
Going to have that draft advantage.
Yes.
Yes. Having a
Very
bit of a
much so.
cry over there, Max.
Yeah, I think
I'm having, I don't know, like, you can see my eye is just randomly watering. I don't know why. I have to watch Vertex play
Weeping.
again.
Because he's thinking of Margot Robbie right now.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Shout out the Barbs.
No, I get it, man. I get it. I think we all get it. We collectively understand.
Yep.
I'd cry for her as well.
We can do a 4-way handshake maybe off camera because Champ Select is ready. Let's jump on into our last game of this regular split. It is going to be Vertex up against Mammoth.
Well, Nat, it's an emotional ending here as we close out this regular season with the final game as Mammoth on blue side say if you don't bang a Kaiser, we'll lock it in. Chen, despite him not looking too impressed at the moment, is very impressive when playing as champion.
Certainly is. I mean, Chaeyeon, a superstar of the league. We've seen him in previous splits looking outstanding, and it's good to see him back with a squad, right, that really is allowing him to succeed. At the very least, with his laning partner, Yosan and Chaeyeon have been an absolutely dynamic duo running around the LCO in this split. and giving us a lot to look forward to come playoffs. So while Mammoth aren't locked in with a 2-0 yet, they aren't locked in the standings and where they're going to place, they are still locked in playoffs as a Vertex. And we're getting a very interesting look into the future. What will we get from these teams? And the Kaiser gets locked in. The response from Vertex is immediate. And they have said we will be going for something that is safer in lane, but can be punishing if you're not careful.
And almost anticipating the amount of aggression that Mammoth will throw towards them. And Abram, a fantastic champion, they're looking to try and slow that all down. I will say, though, when we mentioned about what we'd like to see from Chirp back on those control majors, the Victor was highlighted, has been banned away here, as has the Syndra too, right? So they're going to say that, yes, you can be strong on those champions, but we want you to be uncomfortable.
And I love that Rakan is a follow-up here as well, right? Like, you see the Braum. Rakan is such a natural answer to this Braum pick, and it's one of the reasons where I feel like Braum blind is certainly something that, in the same vein as Rel, like, has answers every single time you see it. You just have to be confident in your own ability to play it. Tien actually sees the Jax locked in and loses his mind that it's the exact same matchup again. I'm not sure if it was a laugh of, like, I can't believe you did this, or a laugh of pure insanity that I have to play this again. That is always a question mark that we have with Tien.
Look at that, though. It's the Trundle ban of all things, be it Sully was the one to play it.
Yeah.
And now it's actually going to command a ban in the second phase, which is quite curious. To see him hover over the Hecarim as well, a champion that he certainly showcased at the very beginning of the split.
And the Annie's gone. We're really limiting the champion pool of Chirp now. We are really pushing him down the depths of those champions.
What is it now, really? You're looking at, I want to say Ari, Oriana, and Silas, I think, from memory.
Yeah, I think Ari the obvious 5th ban of those champions that you just listed. Unless it's some kind of like... No, I think Ari is the obvious choice. Darjung still with plenty of options. And, I mean, Zoe banned, so they try and take away one from him at the very least. That's a specific champion for just him.
And look, worst case scenario, we've seen that Darjung can certainly play Cassante in the mid lane too. Has the flexibility if the matchup works enough for him to, get that mage to make a bit of a misery out of. So
Ari is the choice.
They do feel a little bit more concerned, it would seem, of the wombo combo potential of the delivery package Shockwave.
And this opens up the Silas pick though, right? So this Sejuani pick is, to me, a foretelling of the Silas 5th pick from Vertex.
100%.
Because if you go Ari, now it's Silas with an Ari ult and a Sejuani that's working with a Braum and a Jax. And like, that's actually a nasty comp.
Exodia.
From Vertex. Yeah, close to just Exodia for themselves. Very curious where Mammoth choose to go now. Do they lock in the Ari? Do they go for something a little bit different? Where there is Sully, there is Karthus. And where there was Karthus, there was Zoe. Now, I wasn't the biggest fan of that duo. And I think they said it themselves after the game.
That wasn't planned.
That wasn't intended. But now we have, the low ping Sully showing up. So what will it be in mid lane?
That's actually such a good point. Seeing how well it performed in 300 MS, what does it look like on regular ping? As the Tristana comes out now on the other end of the stick. Being played by Chirp in game 1, now to be played here by Darjung, unless it was to be a flex of the Kaiser into the mid lane still, is a consideration.
Yeah.
Vertex then have to decide, okay, is it really going to be the Silas matchup? It seems to be. And now it is certainly confirmed.
Yeah, I think that was the natural choice for them, right? So this is one of those drafts where, like, Mammoth, I think if I can work that out, they knew that already, that was going to be a Silas 5P. So they go for the Karthus Tristana with confidence of that in that mid lane matchup. And I think the Karthus pick for them is just, it's very much signature Sully. It was when he was originally here competing in Oceania before he went off to European leagues.
Yep.
He was that Karthus player. He was that hard farming jungler that just eats up all those camps, hoovers his way through the map until he's got 3 items, and then just pops ult and you lose. But that's not as simple as this game is, right? When you're looking at the Vertex combo, Sejuani with 3 good lanes to gank, with potential prio forced in bottom lane as well because the Aphelios can just outrange, can out-sustain potentially in that matchup. Braum can protect, so it's not as simple as Rakan just... Like, the advantage of Rakan is he can engage and get out, and you don't get stunned. You just simply do not get stunned. But I don't think that wins the lane. I think that just equalizes the lane strengths of the Aphelios. And so I think this is the perfect opportunity to look at this team and say Gudo has a perfect lane assignment to gank for. All 3 lanes. If Tian's aggressive, that's an aggressive matchup that can be punished. Bring a Sejuani out there, you probably win the 2v2.
And it should be the perfect way for you to announce yourself back into the league, right? Having taken a bit of a hiatus away from the scene to come back into this one where there are, the 3 lanes you can play towards. Shouldn't be short of any real offerings that you can provide the rest of your team. I will say that I'm always terrified when a team is able to get their hands on both the Sejuani as well as the Braum. Just the amount of raw stuns that they can lock down throughout a fight. If
you know what
those
that
5v
means,
fives
Jimmy?
come across, it's terrifying.
It also means level 1.
Yeah,
Like if
absolutely.
If I was Mammoth right now, I'm in shambles. Like I've just picked a farming jungler that, yes, I like dying in these skirmishes, but am I going to have a buff at level 1?
Do I have to concede one?
Yeah, am I going to be late invaded by a Sejuani, Braum, and a Philios? That makes my life miserable. So I think this is the perfect opportunity for Vertex to get creative, to try and find some kind of level 1 strategy, have that sweeper staff, get out onto the rift. Do not let the Karthus have a free clear of his 6 camps.
Well, let's find out then, Rusty, if they're aligned as we are on a level 1 play being deployed and being used to find success. It's going to take place in the top lane here with a lane slip of all things as the Silas jumps into effect as well. And it's going to be Tien that, much like game 1, he's able to deny death once again by the smallest of margins.
Tien flashes away. Chaeyoung going to place a ward at the enemy Gromp as well to get some further information. Very curious to see where this Karthus goes now, right? Because they have just completely left the top side of the map. But he may deploy to the top side. It looks like he's going to go for the blue start, and it could be a hard read from Mammoth here, depending on if they show it that blue buff. Because realistically, if you consider Mammoth's vision right now, Sully could just be face-checking 3 of them and die right here. Like, he doesn't know. So I honestly think that is insanely ballsy from Sully to do what he just did. Maybe it's a hard predict, or maybe he's just confident. But they know that the blue buff either way.
Either way, it's worked out in their favor, and he is able to start this game off with a buff. The only real casualty is the fact that Tien will start this laning phase without a flash available for him in that mirror matchup.
And E-leveled, I believe. That really hurts the matchup in that lane, right? Because you no longer have the Q trade. Tomasino able to start with a Counter-Strike bot lane, very low already.
Oh, yes, it's going to be a bit of a delayed cleanse coming out of Chaeyoung, but it is Dante that is worse for wear, having had to pop the Ghost and cop an Ignite. Finds himself very much reliant then on the red weapon to get himself back up to a healthy state. And Sully, not content by just getting his own blue buff, is going to say, I'm going to invade your red.
Somehow, this level 1 start from Vertex that we said was really dangerous has resulted in this red buff being stolen away. Gudo going to look for an invade himself, but little does he know, it is an equal clear at present. Tomasino's on the roam. He's going to get a ward and see that the Gromp is still up. So they have a lot of inferred information here as well if they want to use that, right? Looking at mid right now though, Dajong should be fine.
It almost feels to me like it's just vision
Oh,
death.
Gudo doesn't invade. I mean, he doesn't have prio in bottom. I think maybe you could force it mid, but a sad man's about to find a lot of coal in the jungle.
Why is this all empty? What has happened? And how has this been allowed to take place?
And where's he going to go? The logical choice is top lane or the enemy Gromp, but Tien places a ward because they saw him cross. It was on vision. Surprise. Confirmation. It is still a flashless Renekton with a wave in a bad spot. So this isn't the worst case scenario with where Gudo ended up in terms of the lanes he wants to gank. But Karthus is just winning.
He is. It's the perfect start. I mean, you really couldn't ask for a better start as the Karthus, knowing just how strong Vertex comp is built to really be set up in these early moments. Not going to be punished for it. They might find an invitation into the bot lane here. And it says not been spotted on vision just yet. He's just going to start by going for the Scuttle Crab. He's going to be keenly aware of this 2v2 that's taking place in bot lane.
He also knows that it was a blue buff start for the Sejuani, so if he wants to place a ward for the next spawn of the Gromp, get that reset off, then he's going to be in pretty good stead right now. Gudo, I swear to God, he was going to the Gromp. What happened? He'll finally get there. And he will get it done before the Karthus comes back to this side of the map mid lane. A lot of damage.
Yeah, really treading explosively in either end, aren't they? Dajong, when given a chance to stack up the explosive shot, Chirp, whenever he has the chains to get in your face and batter you down, he's certainly going to do just that.
Seems like Tien got through the lane pretty well, all things considered. It was a very bad start for him, lost a Summoner Spell, wrong first ability from that level 1. Tomasino, you can see, is still bullying him, still controlling him, but now running himself out of mana means the Croc has effectively won the day.
You're just going to run him down.
Yeah.
So your wave state is awful. You have to burn a TB to try and fix this. And you've got no resources left. Look at that.
Best case scenario. Doesn't have to Q to get it. He's going to actually go for the recall there. So really nicely done from Tan. I think still can afford the teleport given where that wave is and knowing that Tomasino's about to show. So he would crash that if you don't teleport back in response. But solid start to the game. Not a bad first purchase in items here as well. Pretty much across the board, everyone doing their job in their lanes. Darjung doing very well to be an 8 CS ahead. A full wave over his respective opponent. Chaeyeon, 7 CS ahead, full wave over his respective opponent. Jungle, 2 whole camps, 2.5 camps over his. It's a level 6 champion in the Karthus as well. I mean, things going so well. Just cruising along.
All calm collected.
We're on the highway with our lo-fi beats on.
Absolutely, we're just out here vibing. Bring the night to a close in a melodic fashion. Everybody's just chilling in lane underneath their tower, just zoning back Vertex, deterring any kind of aggression they'd be hoping to try and find as Gudo once again peers his head into top, realizes that not 1 but 2 bushes are in fact warded. Intent really is making it certain that you will not gank me. In fact, actually walking up to him and saying, come at me.
Has the honey fruit there as well, so the contest continues. Seeing if he can have a small part in winning that lane. Chaeyeon getting aggressive in bottom. Not going to deal any damage to Rosie, but does some nice DPS to Dante.
Oh, but cops a lot of damage in return.
Wow.
And might actually be dead as a result, but the Guardian comes in through clutch there. And the Ignite may not have been enough before. Certainly put him low enough to go back. Sorty has to try and help escort this wave in there for Chaeyeon.
There is kill threat in mid lane right now as well if Darjung isn't careful. Sejuani being nearby. You can see Chirp is holding the wave though. They saw the Tristana place a ward, so they know full well that he's not showing. But another ward will also see Gudo moving down the river, and they just have knowledge, they have information, they have vision placed everywhere. This Sejuani wants to go. No one looking at the Drake just yet. It feels like all of this still favoring Mammoth pretty much as a whole. A couple of exceptions here, right? So things that are really important for Vertex. The scaling of their solo laners is really good.
Yeah.
The scaling of the Aphelios is fantastic. Tomasino's controlling TN decently well still because, I mean, he's just had a Sejuani in his pocket pressuring. You know, not ganking, but definitely pressuring really well. So he's making use of that. The CS advantage is his. You still just, you look at it, oh, hang on. Karthus ult.
Yeah, look, Tiano's playing with fire there, sort of anticipating Tomasino's leap. You saw the preemptive dice away afterwards, but Tomasino didn't fall for that bait. Found that small window in which he could try and execute. Instant ult and flash away. And if that fire had pursued any further, maybe the Rec Room would have been enough underneath the turret to trade at 1-for-1. But still, First Blood eludes us. We're 8 minutes in.
Yeah, a little bit of a slower affair, all things considered. Kind of waiting for that first break point. A lot of what we've been saying for the first 8 minutes of this game has been like, there's opportunities here, there's good things here. We could look here, but they haven't been able to convert. Like highlighted for Vertex, they have been spotted by Vision, and I think that Mammoth feel no need to do anything drastic. You speak about the scaling of the side of Vertex, and while it is good, a Kai'Sa, a Tristana, and a Karthus is also pretty insane. So if they're able to get their items spiked faster by farming better, then that's something I think they're going to be chuffed about anyway.
Essentially then, just a bit of a gentleman's agreement that you can get one objective, we'll find the other. Gudo's going to get the Herald and he's going to poke his head into mid lane once again and say, all right, this time surely we can lock down a key target. Buster Shot knocks them both back, flashing out of that glacial prison, and then securing the dragon is Sorely. As the Void Seeker connects and Tomasino is forced to run away. All the pain goes on down. And Chirp looks to steal away the ultimate of Yursan. More so for just safe passage as they back away.
Also, one big thing here of note, and we said this through the draft, that Sylas was the obvious choice for Vertex. What we haven't spoken about is the value of the ultimates that the Sylas can steal. Because they did willingly pick the Karthus into it.
Yeah.
Sylas, for one, has a Karthus ult, and for this, secondly, the Rakan ult on Sylas is actually insane. If you get into the fight, you hit the chains yourself, you have so much bonus damage and the ability to move faster and charm everybody. Like, you become a lethal weapon running around the battlefield. I think between those two ults alone, he actually has a lot of value here on Summoner's Rift with the things that he can steal. Tristana ult, of course, being able to provide a little bit of extra lethal damage there as well, so not going to be terrible.
It always reminds me when like a startup will like hijack away like Leona ults and suddenly just do a billion damage on your head.
The
and you're
Ashe
like,
ult steal.
what's going on here? The ratio is working against you.
Your brain never expects it to actually deal damage.
Yeah. That's the benefit of playing ARAMs, mate. You just get to go weird and wacky.
You got that knowledge. That hidden ancient text that no one knows.
Full AP Sejuani, one-shot ult.
What happens when Silas gets Daisy?
True.
Daisy slaps.
Conor McGregor
Conor McGregor
has entered the rift. Absolutely punching on.
Arthur's ult, is this just a deterrent, I suppose, for any kind of attempts top, right? So they saw Goodo clearing the vision. Sully with his first strike build is really just going to chuck out the ult whenever he can. He's making that bank. He truly is just farming in this game. Farming champs, farming camps. Requiem off cooldown.
And
Goodo.
to your point again, right, it must be so happy that the pace of the game isn't going against them. They can just AFK scale with a Carthus as well as that Tristana. And that the emphasis should be on Goodo to find lanes to gank to snowball them ahead.
TN ulting here, Tomasino going to trade those as well. Yeah, I mean, realistically, it stays this way. Bot fighting this time, purple weapon.
Purple weapons do, in fact, mean that Chain's in a world of trouble, so he's having to flash away because the Ignite's already in his head. Both AD carries gone out despite Rosie the one sorely lagging behind, so first blood connects. And it is Cheon's to claim. Daejeon.
Oh, no.
Gonna TP in for this one.
He didn't get the jump reset. He didn't get an assist on the kill.
Yeah.
If he got that assist, it could be a second.
That's the difference. Chirp with a Requiem, and well, he needs to stay alive to actually cast it, so he flashes into the bush, just dodges out underground entrance that Yursung was there to provide, but the rocket jumps off cooldown, and that means bust the shot goodbye.
And what could have been a second kill could have been a third for Dajong. They still get the second. They still get the two. Pushing mid lane. Good are going to be here to defend this one. Nothing more from that. TN threatening top lane. No demolish proc, but is really keeping Tomasino at bay. Harassing him at every possible opportunity. And Mammoth, they find a small opportunity. The door is just slightly ajar. They kick it down. And now they get those big item spikes.
How many times have we seen Goodo peer his head into top lane and just be unable to shut this crocodile down?
100% ward rate.
Yeah.
I wonder what the control ward purchases are like from Tomasino as well, because I think I looked at his vision and it wasn't too great. Flash forwards was the engage here from Yersa, and that was dodgy. I can see why Vertex immediately decide to turn this and try and get the punish off themselves, and Cheon does get desperately low, but that teleport coming through just sways everything. And I can't believe he didn't get an assist on that or the kill.
Does seem very criminal, the fact that it looked like he should have still been alive in that play. Sully now in a 1v1 up against Goodo and says, all right, I'm dead, you've got me.
Oh, he's got the jukes off though.
But actually, are you going to kill me?
They want to give the kill to Chirp, it feels like, or Tomasino. Didn't want to run the risk of dying to Goodo. Or, sorry, Goodo dying by going for that play. But look, he just died of the turret.
He'll just execute himself, deny the assist, make sure that it is, yeah, the Sejuani tank that picks it up. So none of the carries that can scale up respectively for the side of Vertex will get in on the action.
A very peculiar first 13 minutes of this game, for sure. We have got that slower start than we're used to seeing for, honestly, both of these teams.
Complete opposite. You consider the game state this time last game, there were more kills than minutes.
Yeah, it's between games 1 and 2, the polar opposites, let alone just knowing the styles of these squads. We actually just have a first strike farming Carter, so this could be one that goes a bit of the distance. Remember that game 1 was over in 8 minutes from now?
Yep.
Doesn't feel like we're even close to that.
All right. Get your hoodies on, get nice and warm, make your hot cocoa. We're going to 40 minutes, we're LCK now.
We've got that podcast angle coming up. If it does slow down, another objective being looked at by Mammoth, though. They are starting to really push the agenda. They've brought their top laner down. Tomasino, no teleport, so this should be a no contest from Vertex. Just throws out the active there on that green weapon. Nothing more from the boys.
As you say, just trading skill shots were both the AD carries, but the second dragon is confirmed there by Mammoth, and Tomasino is on his own. Ready to get another Demolish proc off as a bit of action takes place in the bot lane here, but nothing substantial enough for a fight to ensue.
Yasun did ult, which required the Gale Force dodge from Dante, and again, full credit to Dante, he does dodge that one out, so it doesn't get locked down. Tomasino, of course, was looking for those Demolish procs and would be close to breaking the turret if there was not Tien up there ready to stop him. And he is a threat, right? He is an issue with this champion. If it continues on this path and the Jax is able to freely farm, you break those structures, flip the map, put him bottom, he gets to do it again. And then suddenly it's a 2-3 out of Jax, but for now we're at Herald.
Now we certainly are, and Tien is the focus right now, but he's just so tanky with a Gore Drinker complete and the ultimate active. You can't take him down, he's a raid boss, he's a Titan, and he is living for a little bit too long as Darshan goes across the wall. Rocket jump, reset, find another one as the Requiem burns them down with the Leandri's active, and Dante also, other side of the map, nearly falling victim to that
3
ultimate
seconds
too.
on the W. Chaeyoung could throw that. I'm not sure if it's going to be lethal, but he does have the AP items, and there's the honey fruit there. So another Chemtech Rift will help save the day. And Dante, I guess, lucky to get away with his life, but that's what happens when there is a Karthus on Summoner's Rift.
It certainly is. Can never be quite sure as to what might go on. As you can see, there is a bit of a pause about to happen, but it all starts once again. It's contested around the Herald.
Yeah, Chirp just dies instantly. Very much just gets caught at the forefront of this. A huge 4-man stun from Tomasino there with the counter-strike, but Ignite sees him. Karthus ult would have been lethal. Darjong confirms that one regardless and holds it down. And yes, we unfortunately do return back into a pause as our 80 carries were also 1v1ing at the back end of that fight.
Yeah, it looks like Chan's disconnected on that occasion, so hopefully shouldn't be too long to get ourselves back into this, but Mammoth, no doubt, feeling pretty happy about, you know, despite the state of the game, the pace of it in comparison to how it all worked out game one. Still feeling like they're the ones in the driving seat, and if it is to be that sort of scaling affair, it doesn't mean that we're just AFK. Are still looking for those fights when given an opportunity. But that Requiem is starting to add up, and I'd love to actually see who has the most gold right now on the side of Mammoth.
I mean, I wonder if it is just the Karthus,
Yeah.
right? Like, Darjong got a lot of money from those kills, though. He started to get those resets, so he has been farming up an absolute storm. And I mean, a freely farming ADC as well. So, it's a good question. Who does have the most gold? I want to say it is the Trist. I don't think Karthus makes much money from his ult early.
No.
Right? Like, it starts to scale up with items. You'll make like 100.
Maybe a couple of hundred max.
100 a pop.
Yeah. Certainly not enough to feel as if he's Jeff Bezos anytime soon.
No.
No.
No Bezos stacks.
But yeah, look, Vertex have certainly drafted themselves a composition which we were, you know, singing their praises for, and we're, you know, quite excited to see the level 1 play occur. And obviously it did put Tien at a slight deficit, but not enough for him to ever really be put down as a result of that one, right? I think Gudo's really struggled in this one to try and find a lane to actually attack. Shown a keen interest in mid lane. I think it's probably been the most successful when it's been Darjun getting put behind, but I mean, look at him now, right? 2-0 on your screen with a bounty, only one in this game. And bot lane's been fighting their own fight. So let's actually then check in with the total gold.
Stay on.
And it is a really close battle between both AD carries. What? Only like 10 gold between them.
Yeah, Dante definitely up there as well. Farming up an absolute fortune. Didn't look like he could handle that 1v1 too nicely when a Karthus can intervene, though, and equalize that difference. Still, Mammoth truly in the driver's seat, though. This is another example of Vertex. Like, so far, we haven't seen anything to really be happy about from Chirp in this one, and he's about to suffer big time from the pressure of Mammoth. As a Renekton ult, and that's it.
This is huge, isn't it? A 4-man collapse with a Herald Summon 2. You're dead, and same can be said for your turret. Instant one-shot on that. And they'll continue to march on forward and find themselves another one, so that means Dante has to try and get a little bit creative in the mid lane with the Gravitum Gale forced to lock down Darjung, but it's the second headbutt, it's the second turret, seemingly about to fall on down 2. And this map is just being blown wide open unless Gudo can look to try and even the books.
Really wide flanky with the teleport that comes through as well from Tomasino, so you can see Vertex really looking for this play. It's a good option.
When does it start? That goes in with a counter-strike, that's denied Glacial Prison. It's no longer an opportunity. They just switched to Darjung behind enemy lines, he's TP'd and he's flashed away, and he's lived. They are just playing with their food, Mammoth. and Vertex are spewing.
Just absolute magicians that they all managed to survive. Vertex look for the play. I thought the teleport was fantastic. The Sejuani ult could have been thrown at any time. It just never came out.
Too much hesitation there.
You've just got to go. You have a teleporting Jax coming, and of course he's going to go for the counter-strike. How do you not find someone there? That's baffling.
Let's see then if that's a turning point in this matchup. That will be the third outer turret now completed, taken down by Tien in top lane. And we're just struggling to find answers, responses, ways back in. Mammoth is just starting to build up the momentum.
Now, the one thing I will say is the fact that it's an AP Kai'Sa. There is an attack speed on hit AP Kai'Sa, right? I don't know if we'll get the Luden's Echo or not third, but if we do, we then have Sully and an AP Kai'Sa, so there's Karthus as well. So they're doubling up on their heavy magic damage, which makes magic resistance a little bit easier to purchase and more of an incentivized factor. So Tomasino
Just put more focus on Dajong to try and
Karthus
excel.
ult.
The Requiem's going to come out, and he's going to relegate himself that I'm just dead.
Yeah.
And the Leandries comes in through clutch at the end. Goodo tried to maybe make something happen there with a dive attempt onto Dajong, but he was just the bait, and he was the target.
Mammoth starting to turn up the gas here as well. They certainly have found a couple of small opportunities. One skirmish at a Drake becomes a fight near a Herald, becomes a dive in bottom with that Herald summon. And they just keep getting it now. And as they go to blows with Vertex, they are starting to find that momentum and snowball this game through in a very positive way. Dajong certainly has seemed like a much improved player this split as well.
Absolutely.
It's one of those things that like we get to watch this, and everyone at home as well has had the same sample size as us. We've seen him, you know, with squads that have been bottom of the table. He's never been in a squad that has really made playoffs. And so now he's got a team that is not just making playoffs, but they are fighting for third place. And he's keeping up with every single one of these guys.
Absolutely.
I think that is such a huge positive for him and speaks well to, you know, we saw him be a star player on that team sometimes when he was with Gravitas, but now he's getting to do it consistently.
And that's the thing, I always find it's so much harder to try and shine when your team is so far behind, so outmatched. So the fact that it's been recognized and built around, as you can see here for this Mammoth roster, has been a bit of a treat to behold.
For just a moment there, I forgot we're on a new patch where red buff is shareable. I was like, oh, Sully, the absolute alpha. Just making that ADC recall next to the red buff that he's taking. But no, they both get it.
The Ivan effect.
Yes, the Ivan effect. A good little change for Karthus, isn't it?
It is nice.
You greedy guts with your camps.
Certainly has benefited him because he's gone back to base and picked up a Rabadons as item number 2 here, only 20 minutes in. Vertex will find themselves another objective bounty by opening up the mid lane. Finally, that's what they've been after for a hot minute. It does work in their favor. Both Bruisers now, top side, will sync up their item purchases and acquire the Black Cleaver to make life just a little bit easier to shred who they're on. This time last game, though, it was Mammoth starting up the Baron right at this time. And they're definitely looking to try and change their vision line towards the Baron again.
Dajong currently tanking this one. Might like if someone else stood in front of him for at least a second. Teleports from Vertex. No hesitation on this reaction from Vertex either. They are fully poised. They have flanks on 2 different angles.
Tomasino's not been spotted, but he has been found out now, and it is Tien right now the focus. All across the wall goes Tomasino. Tien slicing and dicing through the backline, through the ranks of them. Sully is what Tomasino's hunting for, but why do you want the Karthus when he can ult from the Undeath? Out comes the Requiem, flashing away is Goodo, but where are you running to? Because you can't deny this Baron if Mammoth turn back towards it, because Tien's playing goalkeeper.
And Tomasino does his job, but the rest of the team just simply could not keep up, and they could not go to blows with Mammoth at all. Goodo, I mean, he just gets hit by one, he's going to get hit by a second one, and if he stands still for another second, I swear to God.
He just dies to a Rakan of all things. He's saying they don't have a smite, we take this one.
Oh, Tomasino.
And now Tomasino tries to be the hero.
Oh.
He's going to try and 1v3. He's found
But there's
one.
no jungler.
The Baron's
He
going to
can
kill
win
a
this.
second. He might win it all. Tomasino, what are you doing?
It's the absolute GOAT. He just gets the quad, stops the Baron. He's also the one who locks down the Karthus in the first place. That's his delayed pentakill. And that is him solo keeping Vertex in this game. And you watch this back one more time again. Thomasino's going to do his job. He's going to find Stooley, but the rest of this fight, just so easy for Mammoth. They get those resets, the Tristal jump through, the Rakan finds the initial angle, and Chirp survives a little bit longer this time and has the stopwatch, but look how one-sided this was without the Karthus ultimate. Think about what that future could be. The real big thing here, while Gudo gets caught out of position, Red Buff has been healing Thomasino this entire time. He's able to just bide his time. There's no jungler to smite this, and he finds an angle for one. Then he gets the second and a really nice counter-strike. Yersun terribly mistiming that one, gets killed by Baron. But Chaeyoung was the target this entire time anyway. That's a 1v9 performance if ever I've seen it from the top laner of Vertex.
He's getting flashbacks to when he popped off in the other series up against Ground Zero.
Look at his shutdown.
Yeah.
He's gone from 1-2-1 to having a 550 gold shutdown and a full Zonias.
Let's see what that actually means then in terms of overall gold. Yep, skyrockets right up to first place.
Yep, found Bezos.
With a pretty huge margin over anybody else. The Jax condition is online now, that's for sure.
Put Thomasino in the fight meet with Musk.
True.
He's ready to go.
True that.
I mean, that is... Yeah, we were saying this earlier in the game as well, but like that is a win condition for Vertex. There's the threat of this Jax in a side. Now the danger is they don't really have another one. Right? Dante 0-1-0 has been farming up really nicely. Is pretty much on the clock, so is going to have 3 items in pretty short order. I think that's the saving grace for Vertex, because if it's just one carry and it's just a Jax, they just deal with him and win elsewhere on the map at all times.
Well, doesn't that throw a spanner in the works when you're thinking it's a foregone conclusion that Mammoth are going to close this one out in a perfect 2-hour affair to claim himself that 3rd seed? In goes Yersun, doesn't find the grand entrance he's after, but a flash charm will guarantee that 2 targets are forced to try and disengage away. Darshun now on the flank on his own is going to try and remove what he can, and successful is the kill onto Dante. He exploded. He popped from 40% down to nothing, and he's looking for more as Chirp tries to strike and find another, but denied by the Zonias. As he comes out of that one, he is still going to find himself that grey screen. Rocket jumping in his Darshun. It can't connect across the wall. He'll turn his attention towards the soul point. And now Guru has to try to be the 1v9 hero as Thomasino's not interested. He's much more concerned about split pushing. But Chaeyoung's here to ruin the party.
Gets hit by the Void Seeker, and it's going to dissuade any kind of attempts here from Thomasino to go for the fight. He's just going to be on Dodge Simulator. Oh, he didn't get spotted. Oh, I just dodged vision with that recall. Gets out with his life, but at what cost, Skimmy? As this fight happens once again, they've got the teleport flanks, they've got the Karthus ultimate, they have the Rakan engage even if it's on a single person, and Dajong. I am shocked at how much damage this does because Rosie also uses the W to add magic resistance and armor. But Dante still goes down. Thomasino can't provide anything if there's no carry threat elsewhere, like we were saying, and suddenly this fight is done before it could ever possibly start. Once again, it's Mammoth that choose the fight. They choose the terms of which the battlefield is laid out. And that's how easy it is when they get to choose.
Well, more opportunities like that present themselves in this game. Will Vertex play spoiler? Will they force a tiebreaker for 4th place for Pentanet?
Can you believe Kai'Sa hasn't been permanently banned? I
What do
think
you mean?
Kai'Sa and Jace being pickable as a comp and Kai'Sa being seen in nearly every game is just mind-blowing for this week.
Definitely one of the big patch winners. Jinx certainly going down in priority. And the rise of Kai'Sa, showcasing that it can be so flexible. And just do so much, not only in its lanes, but its build path. Just a better Varus.
I just think in OS as well, like the Kai'Sa value, the Kai'Sa Jace combo is just really, really high value. If you think back to like, you know, PCS, our inevitable opponents, poke compositions don't always work against them because they ran that, you know, triple lifesteal Zeri style of gameplay. But the point is, like, even if Zeri's not meta, they make that style work. Like, they find ways to get through it and persevere through poke. Haven't seen that happen in OS yet. Even the Chiefs lost to it.
Absolutely. Certainly does make an interesting conversation then to you know, see what really the brand of PCS is looking like. as we do lead into the playoffs then, and what sort of needs to be the adaptation to get yourself as match fit as possible for that inevitable meeting with the two best contenders to be concerned overseas. Still a lot of their front runners looking to guarantee that Oath will not get their chance to showcase their skills at Worlds again. But you're really hoping that with the amount of improvement that the league as a whole, not just Chiefs and Bliss, but the league as a whole, especially name case being Mammoth here, have shown in Split 2 that
Yeah,
maybe
I
we do
think
have a
we
much better
just
run.
stand in the middle of lane. I think if we all just stand dead center in the lane, Chaeyoung will never find us with this. Oh, we bled. We're getting better.
Sounds like grumpy old Rusty for a second, wasn't it?
Yeah, I was getting annoyed.
Mate,
How many Void Seekers does it take to change a playstyle?
can you put your hard hat on and stop getting hit?
Listen, mate, the job's on. Do not disrespect the job
Occupational
site
health
etiquette.
and safety says this is not safe to stand
You
in
want
mid
to
lane.
stay in a job?
Well, he's not safe. Rosie's gone. That certainly is a bit of an incident here, but Thomasino's going to burst into effect here with a TP. There is the Glacier Prison onto multiple. Stacked up with multiple members, then diving as he goes gold, and he says, is my job done? Well, Chirp's fan one. It's his first kill of the game. But is that all he'll find? Because Mammoth are still so strong, they're still so healthy.
Wrong
They
side of the
still
map.
have so many more members than you. Burst down with the K-Fin missiles is what they're after, and if you're low now, you're dead for sure as the Requiem pops Jax. They'll find a second to your right side of the screen. And another Zonia's really just denying inevitable as Pixel Perfect is the Void Seeker for the ace.
I like you just hit him with the, if you look out the right side of your window, you will see another person dying here from Vertex. Mammoth will get the team fight dub.
Air hostess
Pushing bot
Rusty.
lane, exactly. They'll get the Baron at the same time here as well. So if you look out to the left, you'll see Mammoth winning on two fronts. At the exact same time, Rosie not going to be able to stop this from happening. Second spawn comes through of Dante. It means they're not going to go past that inhibitor. But that was never the plan. 8,000 gold lead here. And you watch this fight back one more time. Very simple execution from Mammoth once again. They find their target. They lock eyes with the target. And they wait for an opportunity for Chaeyoung to get into the back line with Tien. And just like that, the fight gets split. Flash forwards. Dante gone. If Dante's meant to be a carry in this game, it doesn't feel like he's allowed to. Vertex not supporting him. Mammoth hard targeting him at every possible moment. I think they've just accepted the truth, right? They know that Dante's a very good player, and no one's letting him play League of Legends.
He can shut down his win condition, and it just does not matter. Left, right, and center.
You know what happened there as well, Skivvy? Is the Sunfire case... Oh, wait.
Do you know what happened? I saw Midnight Vigil go out, and it does a fair bit of damage, but certainly not enough to 1v9 and bring this game back from the brink.
He's jumping.
He's in Reset City right now. He needs that third. He's going to get denied. Might even tie to the turret of all things
Chaeyoung
here.
got it.
But he finally leaps forward for another one. Chaeyoung grants him just that. As Tomasino's going to flash forward to guarantee the counter-strike to deny the Requiem to say, yep, life is good. And Jax just really wants to zone them back from taking much more than that. But he's going to find a second. He's going to move Chen. He is really toying with him, saying, please, guys, just give us a chance. We're 10k down, but don't end the game. But that's what Suri wants to do.
Hey, Rosie's alive. Tomasino's about to come back with all of his health. Rosie may not be alive for long. But at the very least, okay, he's got his stone plate. He's activated it at the same time. He's a little bit excited, Skivvy.
He certainly is. He's going to run this one all the way towards the Nexus. Tomasino in a dream. He did it at the Baron. It was a delayed Baron ace. But can he pull off the miracle one more time? He certainly cannot. No flash, no Zonias, no chance to exceed the expectations that we have in this series for them. They're respawning, but they are just resetting. Another Zonias, another denial. Another chance to try and strike in Shine, but Dajong is putting in an absolute blinder here. 11-1 to give them the ace, the perfect 2-0, and the upper bracket finish.
Yeah, huge performance here from Dajong. I think huge performance through the whole series from him as well. But at the same time, Mammoth just looking like the better team in this best of two. Certainly looking like a team that is deserving of our top 3 place in the LCO standings at the conclusion of the regular season. And it's good to see them in good spirits, playing well, and ready to go for those playoffs.
And more tiebreakers to worry about for us today. Business as usual, back-to-back clean 2-0s. And the favourites really doing justice to just that, right? Everybody aligned, not only ourselves, but everybody watching on Twitch as well, believing that that should be the outcome. And quite simply, it was.
Yeah, I mean, I would be smiling that much as well if I got 2 zeros and if I was guaranteed to be in the upper bracket. You don't have to worry about those tiebreakers. Meanwhile, though, it feels like a little bit of a replica of our first best of two today, where game one, easy win for Mammoth. This game number two, the Vertex put up a massive fight. There were a lot of moments in which I thought it could have been a turning point for them. They looked like they were getting things done, but ultimately Mammoth dragged this out long enough, and they're able to initiate on enough fights on their terms that they're able to just take a 2-0.
Yeah, and to me, Vertex did a lot better job of managing the early game, keeping it nice and close throughout, but ultimately, the big difference for me was actually in the mid lane here. I think all throughout this series, Dajong has been outplaying Chirp, and Chirp not really able to find too much value in this comp, right? You are against such high DPS in that top side with the Tristana and a Karthus, that if you're going in and you're not necessarily finding a pick, you're going to go down very quickly. This was the game-saving play here from Thomasino, and this happened right after, by the way. I was saying backstage, where he channeling the Counter-Strike just for no reason, like 15 seconds before the fight, I was saying, like, what is he doing? And then he comes in and saves the game. So that was actually quite essential to prolonging the game, making it go as long as it did, but ultimately, it never really felt like Vertex had the edge, were the ones being proactive enough to actually take the win.
Yeah, I was going to say, every fight from here on out, it was the one that Mammoth wanted to take on their terms, and so they were able to just have that upper hand. They were able to get every advantage that they needed. Did you like Chirp on Silas a little bit more this game? I know Dajong was playing out of his mind, but when it came to Heroes, you wanted to see something, sorry, Champs, it was something very specific that you wanted to see, Max.
So I don't mind Silas at all. I think it's actually quite good here. Pairs well with the Sejuani and into Tristana. Sure, your lane 1v1 is hard, but there's certainly windows if you do go the Everfrost route to actually find her to trade, and some good ultis as well, but he just never really found the pairing effectively in skirmishes as well, was always just going down first, and you can see reflected through the damage here, there's so much DPS that even if you are tanky, even if you do have the sustain from something like a W, you're still just going to get killed through it anyway.
Dude, the amount of like shared damage over on Mammoth is insane. That Kai'Sa, Tristana, I thought it was going to be a lot more for the Tristana, I'm not going to lie, but they're actually all very, very even there when it came to the mid laners, jungler, and ADC.
Well, you have to remember, Sully's ulting off cooldown to get first strike, and then
Yeah.
Kai'Sa...
No, you're right,
You called it out on broadcast, Rusty, but Kai'Sa had a stretch there for about a minute where she was just throwing her Ws down the mid lane and hitting people with this full AP
They
build.
were just like it's like catching frisbees in the pool, right? They were all just like jumping into catches.
Here you go.
It's my turn.
No, I did the same thing. I did the caster girl, so I was like to Max, I was like, bro, this Kai'Sa has landed every single one, and then the next one missed. And I'm like, bro, seriously?
It works even backstage, Nat. You can't do that. You
It's
know
too
you
much
can't do
power.
that.
It really does have way too much power. A very impressive game for them, though. I do believe interview is ready, though. We have Dajong. Dajong, hello. Congratulations on a 2-0. How are you feeling, especially after your own personal performance today?
I think we definitely trolled around a bit too much in those games. Even game one, like I think there was like a 30-second period where just everyone died across the map, just randomly. And I think these are kind of mistakes we should clean up in the end. But overall, got the 2-0, so pretty happy, I guess.
Yeah, very well played, and obviously you had a great Tristana game there, 11-1 I think, and then your Zoe game last week. How do you feel that you've picked up your game individually as the split's going on?
I've definitely improved a lot, like just from all the coaching from like all my teammates, right? Like even Dragon coach and all other coaching staff, but they've all helped me a lot, like improve my weaknesses and stuff. They always VOD review with me after games, just pointing out the mistakes I make. At the start, it was honestly like just them first perma flaming me, like that's when I realized I was so bad. But yeah, I think just letting me play my own game and slowly gradually increasing my confidence and just honestly just knowing my role on this team.
Where would you say the area of confidence grew the most, though? Was it like the lane, the team fights, your champ picks, knowing your limits? What exactly, like, would you say was the biggest area of confidence improvement?
I think it's general. It's just knowing your own role. Like, you don't have to always 1v9 every game to win, right?
Right.
You just need to make this small right plays everywhere. And I think that's like the biggest thing that to improve on. And honestly, it's just having confidence in my teammates, you know, like everyone can carry. So it's just easy for me to play the game.
And speaking of those improvements, but more on a team level, you guys are heading into playoffs locked the 3rd seed. What are you guys looking to improve in the weeks between now and starting playoffs?
Honestly, it's probably just like making sure every play is crisp, every play is like decisive, and we're just all on the same page really every single play throughout the map. I think sometimes we don't do that, so I think it's just fixing the small stuff, but I think we're all in really good form right now, and we're feeling really confident going into playoffs.
Was this Tristana mid in the second game, you know, a page in the playbook that was already there pre this series, or seeing Vertex pull out in game 1, you're like, yo, we should, I mean, like, maybe we've tried this before, we should really run it.
You guys can guess. You can decide that for yourselves.
all right, you'll leave it up to us. Anything
Yeah.
else you want to ask, Max?
No, you look like you've played a couple games of the Tristana before. I don't think this was a first time thing, but congratulations on the win. Congrats on locking that 3rd seed, and yeah, we'll see you next week.
All right, thank you guys. See ya.
Yeah.
I have a theory.
Yep.
Coach Drag, who sat him down and said, listen, mate, your jungler loves Karthus. You better solve this with a physical damage champion.
Jace Tristana,
Yeah.
50-50 you pick.
Okay, I wasn't saying that he'd never played Tristana before, okay? Like, that's not what I was saying.
No.
But I am just curious, like, if the Tristana was, like, pushed over the line because Vertex picked it up, and they're like, yo, we could maybe do a little bit of BM and be like, this is how you really run a Tristana.
Show you how to
bit.
run
There's a
that
little bit
back,
of that, though,
yeah.
isn't there? A little
I
bit
feel
of
like
the
he didn't
ego.
want to say it. I feel like there was a little
Behind
bit of
closed
that.
doors, probably like, yeah, that feels so good. Like, that's how you play it, bro. That's
Yeah,
the carry.
yeah.
Like,
Hey, look, they showed up. They looked fantastic on Mammoth. I'm very impressed with them. For our MVP, though, it could be anyone on the side of Mammoth. Max, you look like you were actually put in a difficult position for a second.
I am in a difficult
Dajong. It
position.
is just Dajong, no? Oh, no, because he was
Because
kind of
He didn't do
carried
anything
in game 1.
though. Like,
Game
that's the
one.
thing. I'm gonna say
Tim?
I'm gonna go with Sully. That's gonna be my prediction.
You're gonna go
I just think he had a
Sully?
bunch of sick plays on Poppy.
Yeah, no, it's got to
A
be
bunch
Sully.
of
It's got to
cool
be
ones.
Sully.
yeah.
He did damage in
And then
game
game 2
2, so the
pressed
stats are on his side.
I'll go Sully as well.
Yeah.
Sully, okay, you're all going Sully. Alrighty,
All
well,
in.
we're all in on Sully. Let's see if it's going to pay off. It
Ah,
does.
No.
No one
Dajong.
remembers game 1 anymore.
It didn't happen.
Didn't happen.
Didn't happen.
Game 1 who? Huh?
Hey, he did top damage, didn't he, in game 1?
True.
Dajong?
Yeah. I think he was at least one of the top 2.
Well, it was definitely in top 3
Yeah, well, I mean, he's in top
for
10.
game 2.
Just like their team.
Wasn't he?
That's great.
Yo, thank you. That one, Rusty. That was
Stats.
so mean.
I know you love maths, but it just...
Nat stats.
Net stats.
Did have a blinder though in
He
that
did.
game, and I think that, like to your point, the fact that this Karthus being paired with these AD mids is going to be really key to the way that they draft throughout playoffs as well, right? Knowing that they can bring this out. Evelyn as well, something that's a bit off meta that Sully loves to play. So having these in the back pocket certainly helps.
Diana Yasuo.
You could get Diana Yasuo.
He's had
from
an
Dajong.
epiphany.
No,
He was like,
yes.
please.
Please.
I don't know why it's not being
pick it
played
up.
actually. I'll get back to you on that one.
We'll see if they pull it out in playoffs. We got a little bit of time before we see them play again. To round out today, play of the day. Do you want to play by
Well, I
play it?
picked it.
I know you picked it, but do you
So-
want to play by play it because you know what it is?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Let me get
We'll go
my
into it. You guys-
play-by-play
you guys
back.
wanna guess?
Pentakill.
It was
think it's
the,
Penta?
the Drake fight from Direwolves where they got like the multi-star.
Wrong. Run the clip.
Cap.
So
Hey, Cap.
it is my goat, Tomasino, of course here. Finds a nasty flash in a second. We're going to wait. Kills the control ward, brutally takes it down, flashes onto Dajong, takes him out. And look at the spacing here. Comes, interrupts the W from Rakan there and spaces TN. Astro gliding all over him and walks on top of Cheon to round it out as well. Just this is why Tomasino is the best.
You know, my favorite part of this is when he mind controls Yersan into the W timing so that he gets himself stunned. Because like any other top laner, that wouldn't happen. But
Psychic
Tomasino,
powers?
Yeah,
He knew.
telekinesis going crazy.
No, it was a really good clip. We had some great moments throughout the day. Everything you guys said definitely could have been play of the day as well, but it was one of those things. You're down, you're out. Everyone else on your team is already dead, and you're like, you know what I can do? I can 1v4 this after already picking off one of the Mammoth
Hey,
members.
1v5 with that control
It's
ward
basically
as
a
well.
pentakill.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, he did get
And
the
he killed
kill
Karthus
earlier.
before.
I was going
Yeah,
to say,
he
he
did.
did actually kill it. So he kind of did 1v5, just spread out, not all in that one clip. But fantastic from Tomasino. Put up an absolute showing for his last game here. I was going to say the break split. For the regular split, not completely, they are going to be in playoffs as well. Do we have the standings? Hopefully production has the standings for us, because when we came in today, there were a number of different tiebreaker situations that could have happened. We could have been seeing 3 different tiebreakers, but
Only
instead...
one. Only one?
We only have one. That's right. Team Bliss up against Chiefs in first place tied. We're going to have that tiebreaker to figure out who really is going to be coming into playoffs on top of the ladder. And then it is Mammoth with 12 points. 1 point behind. A measly 1 point is Direwolves in fourth. Pentanet also one less point below them on 10 points in fifth. And then Vertex locked in sixth place for themselves with 4 points. And unfortunately, Ground Zero today not being able to get a win does leave them in seventh, tied with Kanga to not be making the playoffs.
I mean, we came into this week, right, where third and fifth was a 1 point separation between them all. Still the same story after the entire week concludes itself, right? So it just shows you how competitive that position in the ladder is. Obviously, there's that massive drop off in sixth, but credit where credit is due. Vertex first split, brand new players a lot, just making their emergence from academy, or in many cases, or rather amateur, and a lot of players, in case of like Rosie, for example, returning back to the scene after such a long break. So a huge testament to the staff that have put together this roster to put the belief into them, to then bring in other players like Simon and Goodo as well, to say that, look, we believe that we can go to distance. And for Granzer and Kanga, frustration, I'm sure. The fact that they've, had those reps in the stage on the LCO platform and been unable to deliver here.
Yeah, unfortunately falling just a little bit short for them, but with not too many tiebreakers on the table, it does mean most of our playoffs bracket is going to be all organized for us. So we obviously don't know just yet who is going to be top seed between Chiefs and Team Bliss, but we will know that one of them will be going up against Direwolves, the other one going up against Mammoth, PGG, and Vertex, waiting down there in the lower bracket for whoever does eventually fall out of those two upper bracket series. They're gonna be best of threes as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
best of three for
that
very
round
first
one.
round
until the finals.
until the lower bracket final.
Yes.
Yep.
Beautiful.
No, upper bracket final.
Yes.
Upper bracket's BO5, lower bracket is
upper
BO3.
bracket final. So round 2 in the upper bracket is where best of 5 start. Crazy that we don't know who Chiefs and Bliss are versing, and that tomorrow gives us this really interesting insight into like who actually goes up against who. Like, is there a matchup that we look at on paper and we're like, oh, you don't want to verse Mammoth if you're Chiefs or something like that, Like, it's very curious to look at this.
Yeah, it is. Not really sure how it is going to shape up, but it is nice to know who is going to be in our upper bracket and lower bracket. Is this what you expected, Max, coming into this split?
Well, if you look at my power rankings, I think I got I got the general essence of it overall.
Let's pull them up. Let's pull them up again. Let's
if
refresh
Chiefs
the
win
audience's
tomorrow-
memory.
Okay, so what I got wrong was if you just swap...
Third and fifth.
Yeah. Yeah, well, third, fourth, fifth, I got all wrong.
7, 8 is equal tied. So if you have Ground Zero and Kanga, we're both just correct there, right?
Yeah. Well, so Mammoth is in third, Direwolves in fourth, PGG is in fifth. So I was close with PGG, bit off with Mammoth, and then hopefully Chiefs win tomorrow, so we get the...
Well, no one got Mammoth. You can rest easy. No one got Mammoth in the right spot.
Yeah, that's true. But overall, I think it actually did fall somewhat similar to our overall expectations, right? You do have that sort of upper echelon tiers of Bliss and Chiefs, and then this pack in the middle, and then the bot lane was just a, guessing game, really.
Hey, let's go Bliss. Not biased or anything, but let's go
Well,
Bliss.
let's go Bliss.
But let's go Bliss. Big fan of the color pink, that's all.
Yeah, I'm looking down at 7th, 8th as well.
That's where we're
Rusty,
joined.
Max. Got 7th, 8th right.
That's you and I, right?
Yep.
We're the exact same in the bottom three, but to our surprise, Vertex really rose through the ranks and were able to upset, right? So
Yeah.
Ground Zero, who you were expecting, having shown such promise in Split 1, having taken games away from Chiefs, having come into the start of the split and taking some games off big teams as well. Really hurt them when they lost that 2-0 against Vertex, and it's really hindered their performance.
And that's what I think the format is really deciding between these two teams, because it is like you only play each other once, right? So if you are against your direct competitors, they only got into playoffs by 2 points.
Yeah.
Right, it's not a huge margin whatsoever, but the fact that they did get that 2-0, they did show up better on the day, anything can happen.
Yeah, it's really tough being rewarded for that 2-0 in a best of 2 is what you want. And despite the fact that our 6 weeks of a regular split are all done and dusted, we keep reminding you that Chiefs and Bliss, they're going the distance. They haven't figured out between the two of them who is that #1 team. They're still tied. And so tomorrow we will get our bonus day. We will get a little bit of extra League of Legends action in a best of 1 format. So these teams will be fighting out for first place in the regular split in 1 game. Everything comes down to this. Like, great, you had a good showing in the regular split. It doesn't really matter considering you guys had a draw, and now you've got to go into a best of 1 tiebreaker.
Which always, for me, is exciting, because we always have this conversation whenever we come into this point in time where it's like, okay, who wants to show more leading into playoffs, right? And knowing that we're still on the same patch, obviously the composition with the whole, Poke, Jace, and Kai'Sa's coming to life. Now other teams are adapting to that. Chiefs obviously adopting a very different strategy as to how they want to sort of approach that entire identity. So it becomes, okay, how much focus do you want to put towards this best of ones before BO3s, BO5s come online? And it's, okay, what patch are we on? What style do we need to showcase? How do we get ourselves back into that grand final again?
Just excited for a new matchup I've never seen before.
You were making such intense eye contact with me, I thought you were going to talk.
Nodding intensifies.
I concur. I concur.
No, I'm just ready for a matchup I've never seen before. Chiefs and Blitz, mix it up.
It's poetic that
thoughts?
that's the way the regular season ends as
It
well,
is, isn't it?
Poetic. I love it.
All right, what is some takeaway for you guys?
Takeaway, hot
today?
take.
Do you want to do it? We can do the triple takes.
Triple take?
So, like, no, because the 3 takes.
Is poetic justice if Bliss wins, though? Is that poetic justice?
Well, not yet. It doesn't really mean much. Like, they're going to play each other again in the next series.
Yeah,
so
fair.
I mean, it's just
Because it's only regular split, right?
That like close
Yeah.
to equalizes the head-to-head, though. That would equalize it into playoffs.
it would bang on equalize it, yeah.
Yep.
That'd be cool.
That would be nice.
Map score.
Yeah.
That even, yeah.
Yep.
I was trying to factor in a 1-1, and then I was just like, no, it would.
Yeah.
Okay. That's not really a take, though. That's
No,
just
it's not
facts.
a take. You know what take? Ban Kai'Sa, please. I'm
Yes.
sick of it.
Okay,
Get it
alright.
out. Get it out of
That's
my
your takeaway.
life.
That's your takeaway for today is ban Kai'Sa. Do you want to do the double take, the hot take?
My triple take is if we actually go back to the double shot
Hit
here.
the quad take, bro.
Let's go back. 2 posters for Chiefs, soon to be a third.
Ooh, that's a hot
I didn't
take.
even play today.
I'm a believer,
He's
bro.
just got a hot take.
He's got a hot
That's
take
a
for
hot take.
tomorrow. His hot
Mwah.
take for today
Raise
is for
my goat.
tomorrow.
Okay.
He's
Raise
been
my
tally
king.
pilled, mate.
Oh, well, Tally's the GOAT as well. That's why he's up there, mate.
my double take. Look, I would say I admit I double take on Tomasino. I think no, genuinely, I think he's actually a player who's shown that he can show up in big moments. And they didn't get the win, but he's an exciting player to watch, and I'm looking forward
You know
to
what
seeing
it reminds
him
me
in the
of? He
playoffs.
reminds me of a young Maximize back in the days of
That's so right.
OCS.
Especially
really,
the Karma Slam.
You're kind
really
of.
showing up, and
Yeah.
I was like, this guy's a hot talent. Like,
Yeah.
I can't wait for him to
Not
make his debut.
consistent, but had some shining
How
moments.
tall is Tomasino? That's what we need to
Well,
know.
we just need Tomasino to be told to play Enchanters. That needs to become the meta, and then the cycle is complete.
He's fully been indoctrinated into the maximized school of retirement.
He's not retired yet. He'll be playing in the playoffs, but very exciting that we will be seeing you guys tomorrow, Wednesday, at some League of Legends action, seeing Team Bliss up against Chiefs for that tiebreaker. So make sure you tune in at 5:30. Be ready. Be eager. See you there.
Against Direwolf. Nico has such a good angle to start this fight off. He's going to go in with that 2-man Magma Storm first and foremost. The Feathers get ripped on back, but not able to do enough. It's a triple kill for Praetor. There is the Quadra, and there is the pentakill. If you can get onto Echo, one more will do it. This is gone, as you say. Shaka's going to jump in with the ultimate, but that's about it. He's not really feigning an attempt to try and go for this one right now. As Bulldog tries to zone him back, but Shaka gets in, and he does somehow steal away the Baron. It looks for
Way better from Kudo. Stuli now trying to defend this one.
Steadfast presses to try and knock them up. Actually flashing and knocking Rosie into the wall, so he's going to deny.
Dante tanking.
And it is going to be Dante dying as well.
Stuli's
Stuli.
winning. Stuli's winning.
You madman! Is he going to want
Can
these
Kudo
friends of
kill
this
him?
tower? Twisted advance is going to get it.
He stands still for another second. I swear to God.
He just dies to a Rakan of all things. He's saying they don't have a smite. We take this one.
Oh, Thomas.
And now Tomasino tries to be the hero.
Oh.
He's going to try and 1v3 spam.
But there's no jungler.
The Baron's
He
going to
can
kill
win this.
second. He might win it all. Tomasino, what are you